A Gary, Indiana lounge is closed following a deadly shooting this past weekend. The city is shutting down the Up Top Lounge after one person was shot and killed, 3 others wounded early on Saturday at that business. The shooting remains under investigation. Mayor Johnson is rejecting the biggest Chicago police union's demand for 12 weeks of paid parental leave for all of its members. The senior advisor for the mayor told the Sun-Times that Chicago police already have a significant and robust leave policy. FOP President John Catanzara made the demand after the teachers' union was granted 12 weeks of parental leave by Johnson with zero bargaining. Chicago Housing Commissioner Marissa Navarro is stepping down, announcing her resignation yesterday after leading the department for 4 years. Navarro marks the first major department head departure under Mayor Johnson. Johnson had asked appointees of previous Mayor Lori Lightfoot to stay on during the transition. Police are conducting a death investigation after a baby boy was found unresponsive on Chicago's South Side. That infant was found inside of a residence in the 1100 block of West 78th. Cook County Medical Examiner identified the 2-month-old as Caden Tapler. Wheaton police are continuing their search for the driver involved in a deadly hit and run earlier this year. Now, that incident happened on January 2nd. The driver who killed the pedestrian, identified as 31-year-old Paige Donahue, hit Donahue while she was walking home from work. The woman's mother released a video recently urging people with information to come forward. Now, former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald may begin a legal battle against his former employer. Fitzgerald's attorney Dan Webb telling ESPN that while no lawsuit has been filed, he believes the university breached Fitzgerald's contract. The school argues the head coach was fired for cause on Monday. Northwestern President Michael Schill originally gave Fitzgerald a 2-week unpaid suspension, claiming there was no evidence that Fitzgerald had any knowledge about hazing allegations. Meantime, in Springfield, State Representative Cam Buckner is looking to set up a Bill of Rights for athletes.
These are very disturbing allegations. There are still, I think, more questions than answers for folks. But even before these allegations came to fore, there has been some work on trying to create a student-athletes Bill of Rights here in Illinois.
The Chicago Democrat looks to further discuss the issue of athletes' rights ahead of a full legislative session. As parents prepare their students for the start of the coming school year, some families sending their children to private school of their choice through the Invest in Kids scholarship program are dealing with some major uncertainty, as AM 560's Greg Bishop reports.
Legislators didn't lift the end-of-year sunset on the Invest in Kids program before they adjourned spring session. Last week, Governor J.B. Pritzker said discussions continue.
I'm willing to work with the program if it gets extended, or to figure out how we would wind down the program if it doesn't get extended.
Earlier this year, Anthony Holter with granting organization Empower Illinois said if the program isn't extended, it's not just the short-term uncertainty that'll strain families and schools.
That school is making a commitment to that student for the next 8 or 9 years, and having the stability of the program to ensure that the family has the financial resources to attend that school over that period of time is critical.
I'm Greg Bishop.
In 1979, something called Disco Demolition Night took place at Chicago's Comiskey Park on this day in history.
Tonight, disco demolition, but some of the fans getting a little antsy throwing these disco records out. Or records, I can't tell whether they're disco or rock or lullabies, but at any rate, they're throwing records out on the field.
Fans were asked to bring unwanted disco albums to the stadium by Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer for a rally between the White Sox and Tigers contest. Fans got out of hand, throwing and later burning the albums. The unruly crowd swarmed the field. The second game of that baseball doubleheader was canceled, and my Tigers were were declared victors. Cubs starting pitcher Justin Steele did his part during the National League's 3-2 win over the American League in the 2023 MLB All-Star Game in Seattle. It's the first NL win since 2012. Cubs and Sox put their final touches on the 2023 draft classes yesterday, both teams taking 10 players. The Rookie Bulls, a win over Sacramento in Summer League action. They wrap up Summer League play tomorrow. The Fire hosts Montreal tonight. The U.S. aiming to lock up a spot in the CONCACAF Gold Cup Finals, taking on Panama in the semis tonight, and quarterfinal action at Wimbledon continues. The news, a service of Tim Stearns. Tune in Saturdays at noon. Enjoy weekly discussions to a secure retirement with Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum is fired up.
You are a complete fool, and I would argue a complete coward, if you do not at least acknowledge and admire what was done to gain our independence. You are a complete coward if you decide that it's not worth celebrating 1776 and our independence.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do the proposed tax and estate planning changes have you concerned about your future? The time to prepare is right now. Take advantage of a no-obligation conversation with a member of the Wealth Management Group team. It's a complimentary conversation focused solely on you, your goals, and how changes can impact your family's future. Call 833-WMG-PLAN or visit investwithwmg.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
What does it mean to be pro-life? Picture women living in a welcoming, family-like setting during and after an unexpected pregnancy, going to school or working, learning life skills. Picture a caring Christian staff who walk through these challenges, providing support and guidance. Picture a community of faith-filled supporters who answer the call to support life. That's pro-life at Redeeming Life's Maternity Home Ministry. We are a Christian organization founded to support pregnant women in unexpected pregnancies by offering a home, help, and hope during pregnancy and up to a year postpartum. We are opening a maternity home in suburban Chicago in 2023 and welcome you to learn more about how you can support God's gift of life by supporting women who courageously choose life for their unborn babies. Visit rlom.org for info and opportunities to help furnish this new maternity house and provide a home, help, and hope. Get involved to support life. Visit rlom.org today.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
511 on AM 560, The Answer. Yes, we were just adding up on our fingers. 44 years ago today, disco demolition. Where were you? Let's get a check of the roads this morning in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Lowe's, always bringing pros more ways to save. And right now, get up to 40% off select bathroom faucets and vanities. Lowe's knows savings, valid 7/6 through 7/12 while supplies last. And of course, selection varies by location. U.S. only. Eisenhower outbound stop-and-go traffic between North Avenue and York Roads, all due to an accident with a left lane block. Tri-State accident right lane block northbound at Plainfield Road. Tinley Park, 191st east and westbound between 80th and 85th Court. That is all closed this morning due to localized flooding because of the heavy rain training across the area. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy day, couple of heavy thunderstorms around. Could give us some flash flooding and damaging wind. Our high today, 74. Partly to mostly cloudy, thunderstorm around tonight, low 67. Clouds and humid, scattered thunderstorms for tomorrow, a high at 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
67 O'Hare, 68 Lakefront, 67 Midway, 62 in Aurora, and your Lake Michigan water temp is 70. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has been criticized for making a flawed claim about black infant mortality in her recent Supreme Court affirmative action dissent. The incorrect assertion, a mischaracterization of a study that was itself flawed, first appeared in an amicus brief for the case. But that wasn't the biggest problem with Justice Brown citing the study. It was that she cited any study at all. Studies may be entirely persuasive, or sometimes less so. But whatever facts they marshal, they do it in support of policy arguments, and public policy is never the purview of the judiciary. Deciding what's sound public policy, what the law should be, is up to the legislature. Adjudicating what the law is and what's constitutional, that and that alone, is the job of the judiciary. In the United States, Supreme Court justices don't sit as an unelected super legislature. Let's hope they remember it.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
My experience with Zach and Townstone was unbelievable. It was stress-free. That's like unheard of when purchasing a home. He informed me in the very beginning what I should expect, how long the process would ultimately be. He kind of held my hand the whole way. It was seamless. It was effortless. I never felt as though I was going into the next phase of the process blindly. Use Townstone. Ask for Zach Short.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
It's summertime, and you want to keep the shop, warehouse, and other doors open for ventilation. Air circulation improves the well-being of your employees and customers, but open doors can let in the uninvited, like strangers, birds, rodents, and bugs. Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. can help solve the problem with a full line of commercial screen door products designed with these specific problems in mind. Call Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. now. Also, regular scheduled maintenance is the key, and Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. has multiple levels of maintenance programs for your company's needs and budget. They'll ensure your doors, grills, gates, and dock equipment are working to specification to increase the useful life of your doors. Visit their website to see a range of products and services at industrialdoor.com. Call anytime, 847-258-5620. Their team will be there to assist in designing a solution that works best for you. Since 1982, the Industrial Door Company of Chicago, Inc. takes care of your doors so you can take care of business.
This is Dennis Prager. Now you can listen to my show when it's convenient for you and without censorship from big tech. Become a member of the ultimate online community for all things Prager. It's Pragertopia Unlimited. Listen to every radio show over the last 10 years, all commercial free. You can even listen to all my Torah teachings for free. Join today and save 25% off the first year and get a free Pragertopia coffee mug. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Don't defund the police. Hire the police to protect your business. Rising crime has been crippling business owners in Illinois more and more in the past year. Blue Star Security can protect your most valuable asset, your business, to protect both you and your customers. Blue Star Security is the only security company in Chicago with over 500 off-duty police officers, all W-2 employees.
I'm Anthony Varchetto, president of Blue Star Security and a 20-year law enforcement veteran. Our team is exclusively state-certified active and retired law enforcement professionals who provide the highest standards in security. We We serve Fortune 500 companies, as well as small businesses and individuals, responding rapidly and seamlessly to each assignment. Blue Star Security's technology allows mobilization of off-duty officers quickly and efficiently. Our primary mission is to provide unparalleled protective services for each assignment with integrity while maintaining our commitment to community service in the Chicagoland area.
Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarsecurityltd.com. That's bluestarsecurityltd.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dan Migatz, co-owner and CFO of AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, and a new customer of Signature Bank. We specialize in the creative design and construction of outdoor living spaces, providing our residential and commercial customers first-in-class landscaping services. Our company was founded as a one-man operation, and today has grown into a multifaceted, one-stop shop for outdoor and indoor design and contracting needs. Signature Bank was there to provide the capital needed to grow our expansion efforts. We wanted to work with a bank that understands our business and is relationship-focused. Signature Bank is what a relationship bank is all about. We're excited to continue our partnership for many years to come.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We brought you the story of Misha Maynor, this state representative from the Peach State, the great state of Georgia. Brought it to you back in May when she broke with her party, the Democrat Party, to support school choice, the expansion of school choice in the state of Georgia. Not the only time she broke with her party, but this was one of the more pronounced times. She said this at the time in a message to her constituents.
I support school choice, parent rights, and opportunities for children to thrive, especially those that are marginalized and attend a failing school. The Democrats at the Capitol took a hard position and demanded every Democrat vote against children and for the teachers union. I voted yes for parents and yes for children, not failing schools. Some of the schools I represent have a 3% reading proficiency, or children can't do simple math. So I have a few colleagues upset with me to the point where they are giving away $1,000 checks to anyone that will run against me. I'm not apologizing because my colleagues don't like how I vote, when my community loves the fact that someone is finally sticking up for them and holding these systems accountable. Let's be real. Parents do not want their child trapped in a failing school. And they aren't frustrated with teachers. They're upset with the elected leaders that put the teachers union and donors ahead of their constituents. I hear Black Lives Matter, but do they? I see every other minority being prioritized except Black children living in poverty that can't read. We'll send $1 million to the border for immigrant services, but Black communities, not even a shout out. I'm sorry. I don't agree with this. I'm not backing down, and I'm actually just getting started.
So that was the prelude to what happened yesterday when State Representative Misha Maynor made this announcement.
I am State Representative Misha Maynor, and I represent District 56 in the heart of our state's capital. We have been on a journey together for 2 terms, and we've had some wins. But there is a better path, and we can do so much more. That is why today I am announcing that I am joining the Republican Party.
Well, welcome, Misha. Happy to have you and your leadership on ending discrimination in education against kids based on their zip code and their household income, that black female former Georgia Democrat could teach some current Illinois Democrats and Republicans a thing or two, couldn't she? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. It's interesting, the two issues that she discussed. She was on Hannity last night talking about her move, formalizing what you could see coming a mile away, because there's just no place in the Democrat Socialist Party for Misha Maynor, even though she's a black woman. She has the identitarian qualities, but again, broke from orthodoxy on two big issues. Three, actually, when you heard her comparing the lack of support for providing scholarships to minority families like she represents as compared to migrants who enter this country illegally. Didn't like that. That you're not allowed to say that. That's number one. Number two, she was an opponent of defund the police. Oh, boy.
Yeah, she backs the blue, so that's bad.
And then number three, she is calling out the teachers union on behalf of kids who are relegated to schools that don't produce. So that's three strikes and you're out of the Democrat Socialist Party, Misha Maynor, and she understands it. But what you heard her say in May is what you heard her say yesterday on Hannity.
The two things that I have actually run on in my district in Atlanta is education and public safety. It doesn't matter what part of my district that people are in. Parents are asking for choices. Right now, there's schools that only 3% of children are meeting proficiency. That's not acceptable. The option that the Democrats are giving is keep them there until we fix it. We'll get it better soon. But it's been like that for 50 years. That's not acceptable. I didn't vote for it. The other thing, to your point, public safety. The Democrats wanted to defund the police. I was on Twitter with one of my former colleagues the other day, and she said, I never voted not to defund the police, and some constituents brought up her vote and said, this is the vote that you did. So we need to make some changes, and I'm happy to do so.
And everyone should follow her on Twitter. It's at Misha, M-E-S-H-A, Maynor, M-A-I-N-O-R.
You know, it's, of course, easier for her to jump in a state like Georgia, where you've got a Republican governor and you've got a Republican-controlled legislature.
Yeah, but her district's blue.
That's for no question. Her district's blue. It's in the city of Atlanta. So she's an urban Democrat. She was until yesterday. And now she's an urban Republican.
I mean, this is huge news. This is great. Good for her.
Well, especially because of the issues. And so here again, I repeat the opportunity, I think, that is presenting itself for Republicans, conservatives, to make central in 2024 the issue of K through 12 education, even though, again, it's fundamentally a state and local issue. It tells you tells the world who your constituency is, tells the country who you're running to support, whose interests you aim to serve. When you say, look, we're going to support school choice programs, the education department at the federal level has a very small part to play in that, other than staying out of the way of states that are advancing school choice programs and expanding them.
I love it. She's also, she tweeted out, making it easier to vote and harder to cheat isn't Jim Crow. It's common sense. Vote early, vote often. That's how we keep Georgia and every state red. Bank your vote.
So central, making K through 12 central. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Republicans don't seem to understand is that the audience is suburban. The left understands that they have control of the urban centers and that they need control of the suburbs to win states like Georgia. So the service is perhaps disproportionately to families in urban centers relegated to terrible schools, but the audience is suburban honkies. And this is where the messaging needs to be directed. You are not being a good person. You are not helping minorities if you don't support school choice programs. And by the way, that includes in the suburbs. We see that in Chicagoland, of course. There are many suburban communities that have terrible schools, most of them, but I mean schools that are you go Elgin U46, the second biggest school district in the state. It's right there with CPS in terms of a terrible, almost criminal institution.
Yeah, and what happens? That superintendent gets named the state superintendent.
Well, that's what we do in Illinois, exactly.
We reward bad behavior, not doing anything at all.
Well, you have a FUMU governor. You might as well have a FUMU state school superintendent. But this is such a key point, I believe. Such an opportunity to speak with moral clarity the way that Misha Maynor is on the issue. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, good morning, guys. I was wondering your opinion on, do you think a lot more Democrats are going to switch sides because they know they're on a sinking ship with Biden and the craziness going on with the Democratic Party right now? They're so far left.
Thanks for the call. I wouldn't expect that to happen much. I think you're going to have some Biden casualties like Joe Manchin, but I wouldn't expect a lot of flipping over. But this is definitely something to build on. And think about this. We were sort of going into 2024 assuming Pennsylvania wasn't in play. And the Democrat governor there, in my mind, just put Josh Shapiro, just put Pennsylvania back in play by doing a 180 and stabbing school choice supporters in the back. So here again, the audience is suburban families around Philadelphia and Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. The audience where Roy Cooper, the governor of North Carolina, is wholly in league with the teachers unions, is the suburbs around Charlotte. In Wisconsin, the suburbs around Milwaukee, Tony Evers, Mr. Increased funding for schools for the next 400 years. I talk about a wholly owned subsidiary of the teachers unions. In Georgia, Misha Maynor. Now, obviously, she's got an ally in Brian Kemp, but it's still the same audience. The audience is those suburbs that might not like Trump or might not like the Republican Party brand so much, but on this issue, you can push them. Remember, the thing that's the most frustrating about especially Republicans unwilling to talk about this or make this central to their identity, their political identity, it's popular. It's popular. It's supported by a majority of the public. It's supported by majorities of minority families. This is why I was so critical of the late entrance of the Republican Party to try and salvage the scholarship program in Illinois. This should be what you're talking about all the time. This is one of the few positive policies of the last 3 decades in this state, and nobody wants to address it. Nobody wants to say, I will die on a hill for this program, because it's actually one of the few things that's producing positive results for Illinois families, Illinois residents, and disproportionately lower income Illinois families at that. It's such a no-brainer. It just takes a little bit of courage, a little bit of willingness to draw the ire of the teachers unions, and Misha Maynor has that courage.
And we got a text message, Dan and Amy, I have a new hero, and I truly bow my head, in reference to Misha Maynor.
Well, we're happy to have her. As I said, it's more progress here for the party, for the state of Georgia, and most importantly for the issue and the families served by competition at the K through 12 level.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We have to return to Evanston.
Oh, yeah.
Although many Northwestern alums may not. More information about Ramon Ortiz, one of the accusers, one of the Fitzgerald accusers, at 5:38.
Yeah, and he can't stop talking. And then later, if you have a cat, you're going to want to hug your cat today. We'll explain why. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Sam.
67 degrees, flood watch in effect through 7 this evening. We have heavy rain showers and some lightning and thunder training across the area. North Korea has test-fired its first intercontinental ballistic missile in 3 months after threatening consequences to protests alleged spying by U.S. military flights. South Korea and Japan assess the missile flew about 600 miles, landing between the Korean peninsula and Japan. Floodwaters receding in Vermont cities and towns pummeled by storms that delivered 2 months' worth of rain in 2 days.
This didn't start until Sunday afternoon and came fast and furious after that. We're trying to keep up, but it's very localized.
In the capital city of Montpelier, streets are flooded by the swollen Winooski River. Officials saying water levels at dams upstream appear to be stable. Iowa's Republican-led legislature has passed a pro-life bill banning abortions after roughly 6 weeks of pregnancy. The vote came during a marathon session Tuesday that continued late into the night.
It's pretty demoralizing for those of us that take care of women to have the potential of losing the ability to practice full spectrum care for our patients.
Iowa Senate President Amy Sinclair.
This bill that we just passed carries all the gravity of what is the human rights atrocity of our time, and history will judge each of us for the role we've played here.
Republican Governor Kim Reynolds immediately said that she would sign that bill on Friday. PGA Tour executives facing a grilling on Capitol Hill.
How vast sums of money can induce individuals and institutions to betray their own values and supporters, or perhaps reveal a lack of values.
Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal saying his investigation into the merger between the PGA and LIV is looking at how a brutal regime can take over an American institution. Members of the G7 are expected to sign off on a security deal with Ukraine as they wrap up today's NATO summit in Lithuania. Former member of the Manson family being released from prison in California. Leslie Van Houten was set free after serving more than 40 years behind bars after her involvement in the La Bianca murders in L.A. in 1969. The June inflation report is due this morning. Fox Business will follow that throughout the day. A suburban man is charged in the death of a girl in Rockford and is a person of interest now in the death of another. Police say Natalie Negre was found dead in a Schaumburg hotel room 1 week ago. Evidence now suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Negre before her body was discovered. A man charged with murder in a drive-by shooting in suburban Franklin Park that left a 9-year-old boy dead this past weekend. Javier Murillo was accused of killing Ulysses Campos. Chicago sports, Justin Steele did his part. The Cubs starting pitcher helped the NL to a 3-2 win over the AL in the All-Star game last night. The news service of PKF Mueller's CPA professionals, business, and financial advisors. Visit online today, pkfmueller.com, pkfmueller.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Charlie Kirk Show.
What information did Trump even share with the reporter? He seems to have literally just flashed some papers. The reporter didn't even get a copy. They didn't get to read it. The big picture fact is that it's ludicrous to menace President Trump with 100 years in prison over this garbage. And that's what it is. This is garbage.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Democrats just want to win the next election, and they're trying to do it with ceaseless money printing. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. It is critical to protect your retirement right now with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. Text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get a free info kit on gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
So what's the trouble here, mister?
I don't understand what happened. I checked my stuff in Chicago, and when we landed in L.A., I came to baggage claim, and there it was, my $10,000 Canoma analyzer in pieces, completely trashed.
Just the facts, buddy. What did you have it packed in?
Well, just the box it came in, but there was all this foam and thick cardboard. It looked sturdy enough.
That's what they all think, pal, till it's too late.
What am I gonna do now? My boss is gonna kill me.
Here's some good advice for you. The next time you transport anything valuable, put it in a Star case, leading manufacturer of customer usable shipping cases.
So where do I get a Star case?
Now you're getting smart, bub. You can find everything you need to know to order one direct at starcase.com or call 800-822-STAR, where a friendly, knowledgeable sales engineer will be glad to help you design the custom case you need. That's starcase.com or 800-822-7827.
As a family-owned business, your complete satisfaction means the world to the McGrath Automotive Group. Everyone and everything at all of the locations are dedicated to making the McGrath experience your best experience. Whether you're looking to buy a new vehicle, in for service, or just taking a test drive, McGrath Automotive Group will always give you the personal attention you deserve. Visit one of their dealerships today in person or online at gomcgrath.com. Service, value, reputation. That's the power of McGrath.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually, speeding catches up with you.
5:38, quick check on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and this update is a service of MyPillow, the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Buy one, get one free with promo code Liberty, machine washable, dryable, mypillow.com, and that promo code Liberty. Kennedy inbound right now, 25 minutes. Your stop and go in the rain from Foster to Montrose. Ike outbound right now, solid traffic between St. Charles and York Road due to an accident with a left lane block. I-57 and the Bishop Ford, very slow, dealing with high water there as you roll into the Ryan merge. And the Ryan right now is running on time, about 15 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State accident southbound on 294, right at 394. You have two right lanes blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Cloudy in your forecast, showers and heavier thunderstorms and some localized flooding, and a high of 74. Partly to mostly cloudy overnight, another chance of a thunderstorm, and a low of 67. Rain and 67 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, on the ongoing fallout from the firing of Pat Fitzgerald, the football coach at Northwestern University, which is obviously is a lot more than football. It's even about a lot more than campus culture. It's about institutions that are supposed to be elite that display cowardice and affect unfairness at every turn. So, for example, updating some of what we know, yesterday Northwestern announced it will keep the rest of its football staff for the 2023 season. So Fitzgerald knew, but none of his position coaches or other staff on the team did. Is that plausible?
No.
And you say, because I know I've heard on Twitter from a lot of these, McKinsey, corporate consultants, at least the self-styled ones, not actual. You don't understand how accountability works in the real world, really. So you only take out the head coach if there's a conspiracy to foment or condone something that is determined to be untenable, determined to be improper. Only the head coach, because, the buck stops there. Really? Is that how it works in the real world? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not at all. If you're part of fomenting or covering up a bad act and bad actors, then there's accountability in the real world. At least there used to be.
Yeah, and they moved up the defensive coordinator, David Brown, to
acting. David Braun.
Braun, excuse me.
Yeah, acting.
Yeah. But I think they'll all be let go eventually. Well, when a new head coach comes in, they normally bring staff members.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But I don't know. I don't know if they'll have enough players to field a team. I mean, people are leaving. Players are going to be leaving. I have a friend whose son plays there, and she said that they're considering transferring them.
Well, yeah. Why would you want to play that? That program was weak to begin with, and now who wants to play in that environment?
Well, it's Northwestern. But yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, but some people want to have the degree from Northwestern hanging on their wall.
I get it, but when you're talking about the premier D1 athletes who are looking beyond Division I to their chances to play next level, they're going to say, yeah, I want to make my mark at Northwestern and get the degree as a backup. That's not what they're thinking. No. And D1 level coaches, you think you're going to get a name coach to pick up the job at Northwestern? No. That's not to say somebody won't want the opportunity, of course, to be a Big Ten coach and the bump up in money from maybe where they are now as an assistant at a D1 program or at a D2 or D3 program. But, Nick Saban is not going to be returning your phone calls. You know what I mean? Something else, though, Ruben Diaz. Actually, not Raymond Diaz. Ramon Diaz. Yes. We've been talking about the last day or so.
Getting a bit of the Amy's over there.
Yeah, well, it's contagious. Ramon Diaz is this lineman from Morris who last played for Northwestern in 08-09.
He was on MSNBC yesterday, too.
Yeah, he's making the rounds. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Continuing with his blabber, may I?
They just said we need to shave your head. It's Cinco de Mayo was shaving my head. Just felt like this is what you have to do to play football.
Right. So the allegation is, some football players pranked him by shaving Cinco de Mayo in his head, on his hair.
Did Pat Fitzgerald do that to you? No.
The underlying
line coach do that to you?
The underlying crime, shaving Cinco de Mayo in your head, is some sort of gag. That this is a catastrophic breach of conduct. We mentioned at the end of the show yesterday, Ramon Diaz, despite his traumatic experience at Northwestern, he now says, just 3 years ago, tweeted out praise for Fitzgerald, how proud he was to be a Wildcat and always would be.
He expects his athletes to be exceptional students. The culture he creates at Northwestern is one that I speak of with great admiration. What happened?
What happened?
Where's the change?
And you think, well, maybe
can't talk out of both sides of your mouth, especially when you're destroying somebody's livelihood, their life. They coached that team. They played on that team.
Well, maybe if we go back, there were indications that he was unhappy in real time, and he said something on Twitter to I don't know, to Me Too, somebody else talking positively about Northwestern to be one of the guys, and now upon reflection, well, in 2010 he did an interview with a local newspaper that was profiling his challenges, even though he was a standout athlete in high school, even though he got this full ride to Northwestern.
Oh, good for him.
He was depressed. He was struggling to find himself. I was raised an athlete. My dad's message of love was training, 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 work, 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 and athletics. If I didn't work hard, I felt I wasn't deserving of love and attention, even of God's love. What a curse that was. Even today, I struggle with that, just wanting to beat myself up to feel worthy. Inside, Diaz had always felt empty, even though he tried hard to not let people know. Going to high school, I thought as long as I had enough cool kids around me and a girlfriend and was playing well in the field, I was all right. I went through those 4 years with this mask. He said he now knows, this is 2010, so he's out of Northwestern, reflecting on high school and then Northwestern and his childhood, obviously. I now know that emptiness, he said, Satan's influence. Satan tells kids no one will understand your story and you're too weird and you should not talk about your emotions. Little by little, I was dying inside. Diaz didn't have the kind of religious faith on which to fall back on in those days. Although he had gone to church all his life, he said it was always a remote experience for him. Quoting him, I went solely on the reasoning that my parents went. What I learned didn't really make sense to me, though. It's just a lot of tradition. Nobody really took the time out to explain God's love to me. Emotionally, I was so apart from the church. Mentally, I was completely checked out. It was very easy for me to walk away from the church. So on to Northwestern and the reporting in this story. What should have been the time of his life ended up as one of the lowest points. Early injuries forced him off the field onto the sidelines his freshman year. He and his longtime girlfriend broke up. His grades were suffering. Quoting him, I thought I was a failure in my life, and I had this constant fear of being alone. I thought I just needed somebody to hold me and tell me I was loved. I didn't have that in my life as a child or then. I felt that no one really cared how I felt. Diaz went into clinical depression, began drinking more and getting into what he called promiscuous relationships. Falling deeper into his pit of depression his sophomore year at Northwestern, Diaz took too many prescription pills one day that had been given him for his injuries and for depression. Quoting him, I felt my coaches had given up on me because I was so injury prone. I felt I had let everyone down in Morris because of that, and because I knew I wouldn't be able to go to the NFL, I felt like I was done. He told his academic counselor what was going on. He remembers going into the street and yelling for God for what he thought God was doing to him. Yelling at God for what he thought God was doing to him. Quoting him, I yelled an obscenity at him. I was so naive. I was pointing fingers at God like he made those decisions for me. I was using my own free will, but I was blaming it on God. Then he got introduced to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes by a teammate. You know, one of those teammates creating a culture of racism and perversion in the locker room. And that changed everything. We went to a meeting. They all greeted me with love, the way I felt that love. I had never felt that way before. They came up and hugged me and told me they loved me. I couldn't understand why they were being so nice to me when I was such a sinner. Then he learned about God's unconditional love, he says, and so on and so forth. That was the start of my new life. After that, things got easier. His injuries began to heal. He's back playing left tackle on the football field his junior and senior years. His grades began to climb back up where they should have been. He double majored in poli-sci and econ.
Good.
He graduated from Northwestern in 2009 and began an inner-city youth ministry in Chicago. My calling is to be a youth minister. I know that now. I know that because of the way I've been able to personally connect with kids. I have been where they have been, and they can feel that. And it was all rosy in 2010 for Ramon Diaz. Boy, since they talked about Northwestern and his struggles there, which were all, by his own description, of a personal and self-inflicted nature, no opportunity to talk about how he was mistreated by his fellow players. The only description of any relationship with a fellow player is the guy who took him to a Fellowship of Christian Athletes meeting. And now, 13 years later, he was the victim of racism and this, I said, culture of degradation and deprivation. And Pat Fitzgerald knew about it and was part of the problem.
They never said Pat Fitzgerald was in the locker room.
I know. Doesn't have to be in the locker room.
But then also said he was so traumatized, Dan, that he couldn't watch the Northwestern Wildcats for 5 years. But he's been tweeting about them, highlights from their games and supporting them. Go Cats, hashtag, all that. So, he wants it all.
He picked himself up. He found Christ. He graduates from school. He's going to be a youth minister. So, in other words, he's living in truth. But he had nothing to say along the lines then of what he's saying today. You don't find that strange?
312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro text line. Answer line, excuse me. You can always text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
He wouldn't have said something about mistreatment by his fellow players. It was part of what led him to spiral, the grades to drop, and so on and so forth. He just talked about injuries. Coaches had given up on him. Talked about the coaches. He thought they'd given up on him because he was injury prone, but not because they were suborning hazing. And now he's a youth minister, and everything's right with the world in 2010, and he says nothing about it. Doesn't take the opportunity to say, yeah, there were other problems with the teammates or the coaches too. Even, if he doesn't want to go into the depths on it, make a reference to it as contributing factors to the struggles he had before he found Christ and turned his life around, so to speak. So why is this important? Well, it's important because this is the highest profile, quote-unquote, whistleblower out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
This is a guy who is at least in part the basis upon which Northwestern slit Pat Fitzgerald's throat.
Yep. He's the one that said there was a racist culture created by Pat Fitzgerald and the staff. But yet he praises him on social media.
And nobody's questioning. Nobody has any questions for Ramon Diaz that go to his credibility.
Not only that, when he was on MSNBC, they didn't even bring up this tweet that said, well, wait a minute, slow your roll. This is what you said about Pat Fitzgerald a few years ago on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Nobody brought that up at all. Not one alleged journalist.
Rick Tellender played football at Northwestern, now part of the Chicago Sports Press Corps. Punchline. The hazing perversity that went on in the football brotherhood, and please forget the pathetically arrogant and illogical denial letter from the entire team, finally did in a coach who is more likely suited to be an armed forces recruiter than a builder of college men. What does that mean? Armed forces recruiters haze recruits or something? What does that mean?
He never served. He shouldn't.
I don't know what that means.
Unless I'm wrong.
And by the way, all this is that has been alleged is taken as fact. And again, given Ramon Diaz's varying perspectives over the years on his time at Northwestern, should it be taken as fact?
I mean, the real quick, though, the second player who remains anonymous, all he said, and help me out here, was that he experienced hazing, racial microaggressions, and intimidation from the players and some coaching staff. Not even named Fitzgerald. But I don't even know what racial microaggressions means. I have no idea. And there should be more. I mean, it was a 6-month investigation.
What is that? I don't know what that means. It's a 6-month investigation. So what?
That they interviewed various players.
Yeah. Did they interview?
See it.
Did they interview Greg Newsome? I mean, Greg Newsome, I mentioned before, he plays for the Browns now. He had nothing but positive things to say about
Black football
Pat Fitzgerald, and he said there was nothing that he experienced that he thought was racist or racist adjacent during his time at Northwestern. And you had other players. I know Tellender dismisses other players coming forward saying, well, including current ones, that nothing like what's being described has been part of my experience.
And he just dismisses them.
Why should they be dismissed out of hand and the accusers be believed without question? I don't understand that either. Frank in Arlington Heights.
Good morning. Do you guys remember Star Trek V? Did you ever see that one? I forget the name of it. I know 6 was undiscovered country, but Star Trek 5 was where Spock meets up with his brother, and they're on the ship is having some sort of problem. They're going somewhere, and it's all about Spock is Mr. Logical, and his brother is super emotional. And that's what I think you have to think of because you guys had mentioned, why didn't anybody ask about this? And this guy who's talking now about Northwestern, he's saying this stuff now. I think we have to remember about the left. Is they're just pure emotion, and whatever thing comes up that supports that emotion at that point in time, they will cling to. That's what they will do. Whereas we're more of the logical ones. You're more like Spock, Dan.
Yeah, in so many ways.
The final frontier.
Yeah, in so many ways. I'm like Leonard
That's
Nimoy.
it, final frontier. Yeah, so.
Thanks for the call, Frank.
And I had to Google that.
Bob in LaGrange.
Hey, Danny, Amy. It sounds to me like the same stuff that's going on now is what was happening when Kavanaugh and Blasey Ford and that whole thing. It's
Whatever happened to Christine Blasey Ford?
It is a good comparison.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, you guys have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Bob. Right, because what do we have to do? Believe the accuser.
Right, per Hillary Clinton.
We have except if the accuser is accusing the wrong target. But accusing the football coach at Northwestern, even though Pat Fitzgerald has been basically apolitical as far as I can tell. But, being apolitical is not being an ally. Maybe if he was maybe if he had worn pride gear on the sidelines for the last 17 years, he would have been a little bit more insulated. But he's not insulated. And Northwestern is a place where a very few kids get to go and pay $300,000 a year to do so. So it's an easy target, and he's an easy target. You know why? Because he's a white male with a crew cut from the south side of Chicago. So, yeah, he doesn't have much. There's not much margin for error with the left there. Very interesting. And, of course, that's right. Of course, that what Frank said is right. Sentimentality. And that sort of tenderness leads to the gas chamber or the end of a career.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, updating the Biden investigation or lack thereof.
It's 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
A long-term commitment. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. NATO leaders, including President Biden at their summit in Lithuania, pledged to guarantee Ukraine's security and help it defend itself against Russia and any future attacks. But actual membership in the military alliance will have to wait.
President Biden will be sitting down today with the Ukrainian president, one who's grateful for American arms shipments, but also a disappointed and frustrating leader after NATO refused to offer a timeline for Ukraine to join the 31-nation military alliance.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. That meeting with President Zelensky is scheduled to happen next hour. President Biden is scheduled to give a speech at the summit at 12:45 p.m. Eastern. A 6-week abortion ban's passed in a special session of the Iowa legislature. There are exceptions for medical emergencies and for rape and incest reported to a law enforcement or health agency. Abortion has been legal in Iowa up to 20 weeks. In a reversal, the Justice Department says former President Trump can be held liable for defamation against the writer E. Jean Carroll.
The DOJ now says former President Trump is not protected against statements he made about Carroll while in office. It was thought the Westfall Act, which gives federal employees immunity from legal action over what they say or do, shielded the former president from lawsuits. But the DOJ now says those slights were personal.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Carroll won a separate lawsuit against Trump in May. The second trial is scheduled to start in January. A surgeon is shot and killed in Tennessee.
Tennessee police say 43-year-old Memphis area surgeon Dr. Benjamin Mock was killed in an exam room by a gunman at the crowded Campbell Clinic Orthopedics in Collierville. This is Police Chief Dale Lane.
We do have the suspect in custody at this time.
Says the patient had scoped out the clinic for hours before the shooting. He has not been identified. No word on a motive.
Fox's Sue Guzman. 4 people, including brothers 3 and 6 years old, are shot and wounded outside a park in New York City. In the Bronx, police are looking for the shooter and a getaway driver who sped off on a scooter. America's listening to Fox News.
65 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A flood watch is in effect through 7 this evening across much of the Chicago area and northwest Indiana, and also portions of northern Illinois extending way out to the west past Rockford. An investigation is underway after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on Chicago's west side. That teen got into an argument with another person last night in the 5,000 block of West Washington Boulevard when the other person shot her and fled. 5 members of the Chicago Fire Department are recovering following a crash on the south side. A vehicle ran a red light last night and slammed into a fire truck in the 300 block of East 79th. The CFD members are hospitalized in good condition. A suburban man charged in the death of a girl from Rockford is a person of interest in another death. Police say Natalie Negre was found dead in a Schaumburg hotel room 1 week ago. Now, evidence suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Negre before her body disappeared. Monroe is also accused of kidnapping and murdering 10-year-old Destiny Huggins, who was found unresponsive outside of an abandoned Rockford home last Saturday. Police are conducting a death investigation after a baby boy was found unresponsive on Chicago's south side. Cook County medical examiner identifying the 2-month-old as Caden Tapler. Cubs starting pitcher Justin Steele did his part in the NL's 3-2 win over the AL in the 2023 All-Star Game in Seattle. Steele gave up 1 hit, striking out 1 during a scoreless 5th. Cubs and Sox put the finishing touches on their draft classes yesterday, both teams selecting 10, while the rookie Bulls beat Sacramento in Summer League action 107-99. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device. Text the word app to 64636. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Dennis Prager live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, August 24th at Klein Creek Golf Club in Winfield. Dennis will be joined by AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by healthinsurancementors.com and by Blue Star Security.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
When my alarm goes off at 5:30, I'm out of the bed at 5:31. I'm a morning person. I know that it's working. I know that it makes me feel more energetic. It gives me energy to get up in the morning. And I like having that feeling of jumping out of bed in the morning. At my age, if you can jump any place, that's a good thing. I love it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. We've got flooding this morning. Orland Hills, 171st is closed between east and west, both east and westbound, and 92nd. Streets are passable, but they recommend you don't go through there because of the high water. Same story in Orland Park on 143rd east and westbound between Wolf and Will Cook Road. I-65 stop-and-go traffic on the westbound side, or actually 8094 near I-65. There's an accident on the westbound side of 8094 with 2 left lanes blocked. I-80 accident left lane block westbound between I-57 and Ridgeland. On the Reagan, an accident on the toll road westbound after Winfield with a left lane blocked. Tri-State overturned vehicle and an accident. 2 right lanes blocked. Southbound 294 right before 111th. DuSable Lakeshore Drive accident left lane blocked northbound at the Oak Street curve. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today. A couple of heavy thunderstorms could give us a bit of flash flooding and damaging wind. Our high today 74. A thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 67. Clouds and humid. Scattered thunderstorms for tomorrow. High tomorrow near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Rain in 65 at O'Hare, 68 Lakefront, 65 Midway, 59 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's getting ugly. You know, it's getting really ugly. How could the Republicans at good conscience use the big guy's baby boy Hunter to attack him? I mean, Chuck Todd is aghast at what's happening in our politics today. So toxic.
The Biden family isn't acknowledging all of Hunter Biden's children. It's 7 grandkids, Mr. President, not 6. I think we've all understand the personal challenge and concern and all of these things that the president has here. But his political foes see this and they're trying to exploit. I mean, there's no doubt every day DeSantis or Trump tries to use Hunter to beat up Biden. How's that world handling it? That cheapness. It's really kind of ugly the way it's been done.
Isn't it? It's getting ugly now. I mean, can't you just leave Joe's baby boy Hunter alone, Republicans and conservative talk show hosts like me? It's just terrible. Isn't it? Talking about his business dealings with America's adversaries, suggesting, not even me suggesting it, the suggestions coming from Hunter Biden associates like his bagman Rob Walker, that the former vice president, current president, was involved in meetings he says he wasn't involved in, possibly a beneficiary of deals he says he wasn't a beneficiary of. That's so mean-spirited. And now getting into this business of questioning the lack of acknowledging the out of wedlocker that Hunter Biden had. Come on. That has no place in our politics.
No, it has no place in your mouth, according to Whoopi Goldberg and those shrills on The View. I mean, this is just unchristian as it comes.
It should be directed to Hunter Biden. It's 5 children, not 4, Hunter, because this is not Joe Biden's baby. The right wing and the MAGA world has decided to weaponize Hunter Biden against his dad.
Maureen Dowd should find something else to write about.
Yeah, write about something else.
Yeah.
Listen,
Clap.
Unnecessary. This is not anybody's business. Nobody needed to know about this. No. This is private.
You know who needs to know? Navy, who has a dad and a grandpa and a grandma who just happens to be the president and the first lady. They are sickening human beings for saying that.
You know, this is unprecedented. We've never before taken interest or seen coverage of the president's family. Oh, wait, we have ever since the advent of electronic media, haven't we? From Ron Reagan Jr. to Roger Clinton to the Bush girls to the Obama girls. Of course, that was all positive because he's the Messiah. But regardless, it's still coverage. So the family is off limits. Is that it? Even when the family's activities implicate the principal. And also, even when the family's activities, including the principal's, implicate an important cultural touchstone, parenting. It's funny, we know that Steve Jobs, the Apple genius Steve Jobs, he failed, refused for a long time to acknowledge a daughter that was his. NBA legend Larry Bird did the same thing. How do we know that? No, because we take an interest in high-profile people in our celebrity culture that the left otherwise promotes relentlessly. In point of fact, those man-hating shrews you just heard from on The View are part of the celebrity culture. But they want to rope off what they want to rope off. I mean, I know it's obvious, but it's nonetheless worth addressing in part.
Comes across as, I'm a family man. I'm a good grandpa. And he loves his grandkids, brags about, he talks to them every single day. And then he has this 7th grandchild.
The issue is character.
It says a lot about his lack of character.
And the same thing with grandpa.
Yeah, grandpa.
Of course, the bigger issue is, which also should be cordoned off, because Joe Biden has nothing to do with it. How do we know? Because he said so, and that's good enough for the D.C. press corps, is the investigation into Biden Incorporated. And I know the left has been talking about Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, but something else about that. Oftentimes presidents make appointments that turn out to be bad ones. Oftentimes the president makes an appointment or nominates someone for U.S. Attorney or Supreme Court that wasn't a good choice, doesn't do a good job, is more interested in political survival than doing their job. And that seems to be the profile that is coming into focus when the discussion turns to David Weiss, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Because David Weiss is now substantiating what Merrick Garland said, that he could have brought cases anywhere he wanted and that he never asked for special counsel status. Yeah, in a letter to Lindsey Graham, Weiss said that he had ultimate authority to charge the president's son. He never requested special counsel designation, but he did have, quote, discussions with departmental officials about a potential appointment as a special attorney. The latter would have let him file charges in a district outside my own without the partnership of the local U.S. attorney. He says, Weiss, I was assured I would be granted this authority if proved necessary, which now flies in formation with Merrick Garland's claim. Except there's a couple of things that are suspicious about this. One, that Weiss is not answering questions. He's just issuing statements. Two is that Gary Shapley's boss, the IRS whistleblower, Gary Shapley, and the case agent on the Hunter Biden case, who substantiates what Shapley said. Well, his boss, IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley's boss, Special Agent in Charge Darrell Walden, seems to have confirmed that David Weiss did not have authority to charge Hunter Biden. Walden confirmed via email that Shapley's notes from this important October 7th, 2022 meeting between Walden, Shapley, and Weiss, among others, were accurate. Darrell asked me to shoot an update from today's meeting. Darrell, feel free to comment if I miss anything. That's the top line of an email that Shapley sent. In the email to Walden, Shapley recaps, quote, Weiss stated he is not the deciding person of whether charges are filed. I believe this is a huge problem, inconsistent with DOJ public position and Merrick Garland testimony. Shapley's email noted Garland's March testimony to Congress during the testimony. Garland said he would personally have to authorize any potential charges against the president's son, including in a separate jurisdiction. Also, this. There seems to be an indication that David Weiss was ready to file felony charges against Hunter Biden and then didn't. This is why Chuck Grassley and Comer are pressing the FBI to understand exactly what was done and what wasn't done, and they would like David Weiss to answer some questions, but now we've moved in this realm from the we can't answer questions because there's an ongoing investigation to I can't tell you if there's an ongoing investigation. That's the FBI's new posture, and it seems to be David Weiss's as well. Weiss does the ongoing investigation, but if the case is settled, why is it ongoing? Oh, because you're theoretically still investigating Hunter Biden's business dealings beyond the implications of tax violations or violations of gun laws. Well, so he's using that while the FBI, as you saw when the number 2 was before the Senate Judiciary Committee, refuses to answer the question as to whether there is an ongoing investigation. And since I can't tell you if there's an ongoing investigation, I can't answer any questions about what may or may not be an ongoing investigation. Something, isn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Tom in Deer Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. The investigation or notwithstanding, if he's done bad things, I hope they nail him. But what I wanted to say is the beauty of being a never Trumper. For 8 years,
of course, that's the only thing you have to say. That's the only thing you ever talk about. That's the only thing you have to say. Do you have any other interests in life than
I've
this?
got a lot of hobbies. I got so many hobbies, I'm not good at any of them. There's not enough hours in the day.
Go ahead.
What I wanted to say was, I'm like an umpire. I don't have a team. I get booed a lot, and it's really been enjoyable because Hunter Biden's a slime bag. Mm-hmm. His father is incompetent. 50 years of being a liar in a slime bag, and he's elected because of Trump, because of MAGA. He shouldn't be there. We should have had a decent candidate, and we're going to get Trump again as a candidate. We might get Biden reelected with Harris in the wings. So thank you, MAGA, for all you do.
All right, Tom in Deer Park. Yeah, the unique nature of the 2020 election had nothing to do with the outcome either. Weiss disputed the letter in the letter he sent to Graham that he had ever been denied authority to bring charges in any jurisdiction. Here's the funny thing about that, and this is Chuck Grassley picking this up. Chuck Grassley picking this up. Grassley suggests a senior official in Weiss's office, Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf, repeatedly took steps to frustrate the investigation of Hunter Biden's and Joe Biden's financial dealings. So you've got them sidelining Gal Luft, which we talked about earlier in the week, who's at an undisclosed location after being arrested in Cyprus and then fleeing after he made bail for charges that include being an arms dealer and so on and so forth. Sort of incredible charges. He obviously is not going to come back and testify in this country without an immunity deal, and the Department of Justice just announced charges this week. But he sort of beat them to the punch by announcing the charges himself in this video that he posted. IRS whistleblowers have affirmed that AUSA Wolf, Leslie Wolf, Assistant U.S. Attorney, David Weiss's office, prevented investigators from seeking information about Joe Biden's involvement in Hunter Biden's criminal business arrangements. She frustrated investigative efforts to question Rob Walker about Joe Biden. She admitted that there was more than enough probable cause for a physical search warrant at Joe Biden's guest house, but prevented it from happening due to quote-unquote optics, according to the whistleblowers. She prevented investigators from searching Hunter Biden's storage unit. This is something that Shapley said in his interview with Brett Baer. AUSA Wolf called Hunter Biden's defense counsel, informing him of the interest in the storage unit. So why would you do that? Make sure there's nothing in the storage unit. That's why you would do it.
Yeah, goes back to the old Republicans get raided, Democrats get searched. Didn't want the optics to look bad. Well, they didn't care about Trump and the optics there. That was great.
From I can't tell you because it's an ongoing investigation to I can't tell you if there is an ongoing investigation. And the names keep piling up. This is why Jason Smith, chairman of House Ways and Means, said we've got 12 people that we've identified. I assume Leslie Wolf is one of them, that we're going to subpoena to appear before the House of Ways and Means to answer questions about this in short order. And I understand the skepticism about how productive congressional hearings will be. But this is what we have. What we have, and continuing to, and reporting from conservative news outlets or independent news outlets that are interested in things like the prospects of corruption at the highest levels, not just of our political leadership, but of also our law enforcement. This is what we have. And we're required as citizens, I think, to spread the word about this and to ask questions. The same questions that some members of Congress are asking and some editorial boards like the Wall Street Journal are asking about David Weiss, that Chuck Grassley is asking about Leslie Wolf in David Weiss's office, about Merrick Garland, about the whistleblowers. And it's always instructive to me in terms of trying to suss out who is credible and who isn't. Well, who is willing to sit down and publicly answer questions and who is not? Gary Shapley is willing to do that. And all these other people that are mentioned are generally speaking not. They are comfortable issuing edicts in letter form from behind the walls, but they're not interested in presenting themselves to the public for that sort of back and forth where you can't hide, or certainly it's more difficult to hide. There's a sort of a simple way to, I mean, it's sort of, there's two things. The Edgar County Watchdogs are sort of citizen journalists down in Southern Illinois with their two questions for every public official. For anything they look at, two questions, very simple. Who says, what evidence do you have? Who says, what evidence do you have? It's a great way to address any public official. elected or appointed. Say a great attitude. Who says accountability? What evidence do you have? Prove it. And I would just add the other angle or the other approach when contemplating this and pressing people on these matters who are happy to otherwise believe the beautiful lies, otherwise dutifully ignore it as they're told to do. Who is more credible? The person that will hold themselves out to the public, present their argument, present their case, present their evidence, provide specifics, respond to questions, or the person that hides behind phrases like ongoing investigation and issues letters, not answers.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
When this is the sound of a waterfall in nature, there's no cause for concern. But when it's the sound of water gushing through your living room ceiling because a pipe bursts inside the wall, there's reason to panic unless you pick up the phone and call 1-800-SERVPRO. Only the cleanup and restoration specialists at ServPro can help make fire and water damage like it never even happened. So make the call to 1-800-SERVPRO at the first sign of water damage. Franchises are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Test Director Rick from ServPro, the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction. It's my job to make sure our pros are prepared for anything. Storm damage? Fixed. Flood damage? We're on it. Fire damage? Not anymore. Aliens? What? Aliens? We cleaned those sites a while ago. No matter the disaster, our pros will make it like it never even happened. Find out why ServPro is the #1 choice for residential and commercial restoration projects large and small. Visit servpro.com today.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Are you a business owner with a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, and a plan for growth, but you just need the right bank? Hi, Mike Gallagher here, letting you know that Signature Bank is all about going the distance for commercial banking customers. It's what Signature Bank does every day. Their team understands that accessibility is key to their culture. In times like these, you want a bank that is there for you to weather the bad times and capitalize on the good. And with Signature Bank by your side, you can't go wrong. It's a true partnership. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right, I'm a customer. I believe in what they have to offer, from innovative tech and customized solutions to help your business grow and thrive. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk to two of the key lawyers fighting for the rights of students, faculty, and staff on college campuses across America. That's Samantha Harris and Michael Allen, 6:36.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
65 degrees, 6:32, a flood watch in effect through 7 this evening for much of northern Illinois and northwest Indiana. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has told Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky he belongs in NATO. Sunak and Zelensky met on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Lithuania today. FBI Director Christopher Wray is scheduled to testify before Congress today. Wray will appear before the House Judiciary Committee. The clock is ticking to try and avoid the largest strike in the U.S. since the 1950s. Talks between the UPS and Teamsters have fallen apart again. The majority of UPS workers voted to authorize a strike by July 31st. Closing statements are expected in the sentencing phase in the trial of the man who murdered 11 at a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2018. If jurors find Robert Bowers eligible for the death penalty, more witnesses and arguments may need to be presented. A new 6-week abortion bill is passed by the Iowa State Legislature after a one-day special session. Story County Democrat State Representative Beth Wessel-Crochelle says, in her opinion, the law is not right.
It's not our place to decide. They should become a parent. Decisions about whether to end a pregnancy or not must be made personally. This legislation will kill women.
Iowa County Republican Representative Brad Sherman is a supporter of the pro-life legislation.
Abortion is never safe for a baby, ever. Abortion always results in a death. The baby is not being considered very much here this afternoon, and I want to speak up for those unborn babies.
Several protesters entered the Senate chamber and disrupted the session. The emergency response continues to the massive flooding plaguing the Northeast.
Across the state, still a lot of problems this morning. There are entire communities that remain cut off. There have been water rescues, more than 100 of them. There have been air rescues.
The rain may have stopped, but officials in Vermont warn the situation is not over. An investigation continues after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on Chicago's west side. No one is in custody. 5 members of the Chicago Fire Department are recovering following a crash on the south side along East 79th. The CFD members are hospitalized in good condition. The driver ran a red light. A suburban man is charged in the death of a girl in Rockford and is also a person of interest in another death. Police say Natalie Negre was found dead in a Schaumburg hotel room a week ago. Evidence now suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Negre before her body was discovered. Now, former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald may begin a legal battle against his former employer. Fitzgerald's attorney Dan Webb telling ESPN while no lawsuit has been filed yet, he believes the university breached Fitzgerald's contract. Cubs starting pitcher Justin Steele did his part in the NL's 3-2 win over the AL in the All-Star Game, the National League's first win over the AL since 2012. The Rookie Bulls, a win over Sacramento in Summer League play last night, 107-99. Quarterfinal action continues at Wimbledon. The news service of MyPillow, brand new MyPillow 2.0. Buy one, get one free, but only with the promo code LIBERTY. It's machine washable, dryable, money-back guarantee for 60 days. MyPillow.com, promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
There are millions upon millions of people of good character going to good states and low-rent Democrat scum going to Democrat states. After all, that's where they thrive. This is where this is acceptable. And it's being put as something that's normal. It's normal now to be an outright thief, scumbag, traitor to your country.
The Sean Thompson Show. Weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I have more energy. I am moving. I am on my feet. I went from taking maximum on a very good day, 3,000 steps. Today, 3,000, 4,000 steps is my minimum. I'm up to 5, 6, 7, 8,000 steps a day.
I have 4 children and 8 grandchildren. They're amazed by my ability to be so energetic and do things. I'm still doing things that I did when I was 25 years old, and I'm 66 years old now. This product is amazing.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Want to remodel your kitchen or bathroom? There's only one name to remember: ForEverRemodeling.com. Not Core Ever Remodeling or Door Ever Remodeling or Explore Ever Remodeling. It's ForEverRemodeling.com. Need an addition or whole home remodeling? Don't call 1, 2, 3 Ever Remodeling. It's ForEver Remodeling. Want to finish your basement but don't know where to turn? It won't help to think of Store Ever or Snore Ever or Score Ever Remodeling. You want ForEver Remodeling. ForEver Remodeling is your go-to for the highest quality kitchen, bathroom, whole home remodeling, room additions, and basement finishing. So don't go to Decor Ever Remodeling or Implore Ever Remodeling or Dinosaur Ever Remodeling. When you're ready for your project to take off, go to 1098765 ForEverRemodeling.com. That's the number ForEverRemodeling.com. Or call us at 847-809-3355.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Audible. Listen to the biggest selection of audio entertainment, from celebs to memoirs to motivation and more. There's more to imagine when we listen, and sign up for a free trial at audible.com. The Edens, 25 minutes, Lake Cook Road into the Junction. The Kennedy at 1 hour now. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike solid between Mannheim Road and Harlem Avenue, 54 in from 390 to the old post office. The Stevenson at 47 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. DuSable Lakeshore Drive with an accident, 3 left lanes blocked. It's northbound between Chicago and the Oak Street curve. Chicago's morning answer continues next. Cloudy with showers and a heavier thunderstorm. Watch for flooding. High 74. Currently 65. Next news at 7. Chicago's morning answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Tucker Carlson's interview on by Russell Brand for Russell Brand's podcast covered a lot of territory, as we've talked about. A number of the topics covered. One of them that we haven't was Tucker's decision to take his act to Twitter. Here's what he had to say about that.
Well, I don't work for Elon. He's paid me zero money. I don't think I ever want to work for anyone again. I've done that. I'd like to make money. I mean, I think that's fair. I've made zero money since I left, and that's fine. But at some point I'd like to, but I'm not working for Elon Musk. He hasn't offered to hire me, and if he did, I wouldn't accept. But what he's done is offered me what he's offered every other user of Twitter, which is a chance to broadcast your views without a gatekeeper there. But I do think, I think the technology at Twitter is, my expectation, is evolving. And I think, the subscription model, might work, or it might not. I don't know, but I think it might. And I plan to stay there. But what social media offer in the short term, at least for me, is an audience, but also a reason, this is personal, but a reason to write. I can't think clearly without writing. I started in this business as a magazine writer and a book writer, newspaper writer, and I need to write things out. I'm very dyslexic, and I can't, I have trouble processing information in certain ways. And unless I'm forced to write a script, I can't really decide what I think about something. And so the daily or regular discipline of writing a script forces me
And in some cases, it really is forced. I don't want to do it. I'd much rather go fishing or bird hunting. I would. But if I have to, I will. And there's something wonderful in that. Writing a script, as forces you to think through everything about the issue, to have a much deeper understanding of it. At least for me, that's true. So, I
just on a side note, I like the perspective on the discipline of writing, forcing you to think and to put together a cogent argument, and it generates a better understanding of the particular topic and the point that you're trying to make so that you make it succinctly and cogently. But the piece about taking it to Twitter, taking his act to Twitter with his commentaries and now some interviews that he's starting to post, and that the opportunity was to be able to express himself without a gatekeeper. That's the promise that Elon Musk made, and he's not just making it to Tucker Carlson. It seems to me that that's the promise university presidents should be making. That's the promise that school boards and administrators should be making. Or, as we've discussed before, simply take Supreme Court First Amendment jurisprudence and make that the culture at your institution, right? Normative. Make it the normative culture at your institution, consistent with the first freedoms as enshrined in the Constitution. It just doesn't seem that complicated. But, of course, it is complicated because for all of those pronouncements about protecting our democracy, those who are prone to make them are the ones who don't have nearly the respect for our first freedoms as they should, including with respect to young people and including in places that promise to be marketplaces of ideas. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Samantha Harris and Michael Allen. Allen Harris Law is the firm. These are two lawyers who are spending a lot of their time and employing their legal expertise in advance of students' first freedoms, as well as faculty and staff's first freedoms on college campuses across America. Samantha Harris, Michael Allen, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good, glad to be here. Thank you.
So, give us for sort of a general overview of where you think protecting our democracy and allowing young people to express themselves, or administrators, faculty to express themselves. Where is that on a college campus today, in your estimation, and is it trending in a positive or negative direction?
Well, I'll hop in on this one because So, prior to starting this firm, I spent 15 years working at a nonprofit organization that was dedicated to addressing issues of student and faculty free speech and due process rights. And I have to say, over the past, it's 2023. So, the past 15 years or so, things have really been trending down after a period where I thought they were getting better. And what's really interesting has been the shift from where those demands for censorship are coming from. Because when I first started out doing this, it was kind of top down. You had college administrations that were really chilling students and faculty members, but really largely students' First Amendment and free speech rights. And increasingly, and I think this is what is really distressing when you look towards the future, the demands for censorship are coming from the students themselves more and more, and the administration is following along and following their lead and not standing up to demands that protected speech be censored. So to see these demands coming, from the students themselves, as opposed to something that students are pushing back against, is unfortunately just, I think, really disheartening.
Well, right. I mean, and so I suppose that, sort of 40 years of what we used to call political correctness on campus, which included speech codes. I mean, I'm dating back to when I was an undergrad, and we were talking about Donna Shalala's speech codes at the University of Wisconsin, for example. Mm-hmm. And that then permeating K through 12 education. So you've brought generation or two now of kids up in this culture in K-12 and on college where you're not supposed to have to endure opinions with which you disagree.
Yeah, and I'd like to step in here, Samantha, and say there's something else in addition to what you just said, and that is that many people on campus, not just the students, but the administrators and faculty as well, now feel that they have a right to have their subjective feelings validated at every turn, and they don't mind trampling all over the feelings of other people in their demands that be recognized and somehow that you can be punished if whatever subjective whim you may have about something that was said perhaps offended you, perhaps made you feel, quote, uncomfortable, which is a complaint we find all the time. And I'll just give you some examples because I think you'll recognize that they're hallucinatory. There was a student at the Yale Law School who had people over to his house for fried chicken and some other things, and having fried chicken was considered to be racist or things like this. There are any numbers of examples we could give you where just simply ordinary discourse, if it's construed in the absolutely worst possible light, could be tortured out of recognition, that could be construed as something offensive. But if someone is going to those lengths to subjectively feel offended, they are, in a sense, offending themselves. No one can control the subjective thoughts or impressions of another. But the apparatus on campus, and unfortunately not only on campus, because as people like Andrew Sullivan have said, it increasingly seems that we are all on campus now, no matter what we do, if we work for Spotify or Netflix or whatnot. That to me is a very disturbing principle because you can't recognize, that is the opposite of freedom, to impose the requirement that other people's subjective beliefs or impressions of ordinary language must be taken as true somehow, especially when those are interpreted in the utmost bad faith.
So what happened to the professor who had kids or students over for fried chicken?
It was not a professor, it was a student at the Yale Law School. And in that particular case, he was able to record, this is not our client, by the way.
Okay.
But he was able to record a meeting with the administrators and embarrass the administration because they urged him to apologize. They hinted that things would go badly in his legal career if he did not, and he refused to apologize. And then the administrators proactively apologized for him to the entire student body of the Yale Law School, which is my alma mater, incidentally. Luckily, he was able to take that tape public and embarrass the school. And yet, although they were threatening his career, right, nothing happened to their careers. They're still there. And we see this over and over again as well.
Well, we saw that at Stanford Law with that diversity administrator, intervening between law school students at Stanford Law and a sitting federal judge. I mean, it's the same sort of thing where they can't hear a cross word or they can't disagree with a particular opinion in a particular case or on a particular issue with a sitting federal judge. You're a law student. You have this opportunity to talk to a federal judge. I mean, even back when I was in law school, that would be seen. Oh, this is going to be interesting, and I'm gonna show him I'm a smarter legal mind than he is, or so on and so forth. But it wouldn't be devolving into this food fight that happened at Stanford Law.
Right, and at least the dean of the Stanford Law School, you're right, came out with a very strong statement in defense of freedom of thought, free speech, academic freedom on campus.
Right, and then all those kids, all those kids that threw the temper tantrum at the judge, threw the temper tantrum outside her office.
Well, and they're going to be attorneys, and I think that's one of the other extremely disturbing things to me is that when I first sort of got into this business of addressing these issues at colleges and universities, we used to think, and people used to say, well, let's just wait till these people get into the real world. But what we've actually seen happening is the quote-unquote real world evolving to accommodate this type of behavior. So no longer is it that your boss is just going to immediately shut this down. You know, that if you show up for your first day of work and you try to pull at work what you were pulling on campus, that your boss is going to shut it down. No, your boss is going to find him or herself on the receiving end of an HR investigation, which is why, you know, our practice, although aimed at colleges and universities, has ended up sort of bleeding over into employment law as well, because what you see is the people who are coming up through the educational system with this idea that and just to sort of distill what Mike explained down into kind of a buzzword that we hear nowadays, this world where it's impact over intent, right? Where it doesn't matter what you meant when you said something. What matters is how someone else took it, right? Which means you constantly have to be on eggshells in fear of the most sensitive person in the room. But we
this
see
is
that
what I
now.
call let no subjective feelings be left behind, basically.
Yeah, right.
Sorry,
yeah,
I
right.
enjoy it.
Well, yeah, but
So we see it in the workplace now too. And I think of it
course.
particularly maybe because I'm in the legal profession, but you know, you're talking about these Stanford students, they're going to be lawyers. We have to deal with difficult and offensive things and often people every day. And the idea that you could train people to be legal professionals with the expectation that they're never going to encounter ideas or people who offend them is just completely absurd.
What do you think? Exactly. How do you think real clients talk in the world? You know, people who are working class, you know, in the trades. You think you're going to be able to deal with those clients and insist that they never say anything offensive to you?
No, I mean, hopefully some of those. I mean, I won't say hopefully, but you know what I'm saying is that hopefully they'll get a little bit of a talking to by people who live in the real world. Wake them.
You would hope.
Snap them out of it. But here's the thing. So rather than cultures on campuses and in corporate settings that reflect First Amendment jurisprudence, what we have is a culture that reflects Stasi dispositions, like that Yale student. The Yale student has to go into tape an administrator who's pressuring them to participate in a lie in order to embarrass the school, in order to get them to relent. I mean, this is sickness. Right. So other than, you know, if we're not attorneys like you are doing this legal work, I mean, what do you say to people? So, well, how can we change this culture that you're describing? You're doing it through the court system.
Well,
how can other people participate?
I think something Ross Dow thought.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say really quickly, Ross Dow thought how to... Go, Sam, go.
you lawyers, everybody, you know, wants to get their... Yeah. All right, no, go.
I'll be very quick, and I'll be very quick, and then Mike can jump in, because what I was going to say is the biggest thing that ordinary people can do is show courage in the face of this, because most people think that this is crazy, but they have families to feed, they have to keep their jobs, and they're afraid to stand up for what they know is right. So I'll let Mike jump in, but that's my biggest piece of advice: is stand up for what you know is right, even if there's a cost, because the cost to not doing so is much too high. And I'm sorry, Mike, that I cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that, you know, I've been in a disturbing number of institutions of higher education, you know, having been a PhD student in the 90s during the first wave of political correctness, and then going back to law school after half a career in academia and having taught in, you know, several universities. They're not recognizable to me anymore, either as a student or as a professor. And I think one thing that Ross Dow said is, you know, in the 19th century, we had Carnegie, Vanderbilt, these kind of characters running around with their fortunes, founding new universities, partly because if you know anything about the history of, say, technical universities, institutes of technology, things like that, these were founded at that time because there was a perceived need to have new institutions of higher education that were going to serve the needs of what they considered at that time a newly emerging modern society, right? The society of electrification, of mass production, of the rise of America to a status as a leading industrial nation. And the old line institutions were conservative, stodgy, and weren't really serving the interests of society. I think right now, as Ross Douthat mentioned in his book, I think it was titled Decadence, or if I'm not mistaken, but you know, where are these magnets of industry founding new universities? I think there's only a couple that I know of, like Austin University or the University of Austin, I believe it's called. I think we need new universities that can do two things: create a market for professor jobs, academic jobs, where people can leave, move to a new place, where institutions, same for students, right, that they can leave and go to institutions where the freedom of inquiry is fostered and it is not stifled, where they are not larding up and taking away your tuition dollars by funding an ever bloated administration, which doesn't really do anything and at worst suppresses academic freedom and the freedom of inquiry. I think that really should be a pressing concern if you're an Elon Musk type character, or Jeff Bezos, or Mark Zuckerberg, or these kinds of individuals.
Samantha Harris and Michael Allen, the Allen Harris Law Firm, fighting for the rights of students, faculty, and staff on campuses across America and now into corporate settings, as you heard as well. Samantha Harris and Michael Allen, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Excuse me. And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Not supporting your husband pulling a Bruce Jenner could be considered spousal abuse at 7:07.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
A man charged in the death of a girl in Rockford is now connected to a suburban death. Pat Fitzgerald is looking at all of his legal operations and options while the National League beats the American in the All-Star game.
Friends, but not quite family. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. NATO allies pledge long-term support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia and say there will be an invitation to join the alliance eventually. President Biden meets with Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky this hour.
President Biden will end the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania, with a speech highlighting the alliance's support for Ukraine and defending democratic values. Zelensky has been critical of NATO leaders for refusing to clarify a timeline for Ukraine's invitation to join the alliance. A communique approved by NATO's 31 members makes clear Ukraine's future is in NATO, but says an invitation will be extended only when allies agree and conditions are met. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A dam is holding in Montpelier, Vermont, and rivers are receding there, but there could be more flooding from rain in the forecast tomorrow and Friday. The head of the FBI takes questions at the Capitol this morning for the first time since Republicans took control of the House in January.
Amid accusations from Republicans that the Justice Department and FBI are being weaponized against conservatives, FBI Director Christopher Wray will face questions from lawmakers. That includes two members of the House Judiciary Committee who've signed on to a resolution to impeach Wray. The investigation into President Biden's son Hunter and the difficulty Republicans have had in accessing information from the Bureau are likely to be covered, as well as probes of former President Donald Trump that his supporters have called biased. The FBI has been asking for a new headquarters, but getting support from Congress could be difficult, with many lawmakers debating the ethics of the agency. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Iowa is the latest state passing a so-called heartbeat abortion bill, a ban after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. It's allowed there now up to 20 weeks. Governor Kim Reynolds says she plans to sign that bill into law on Friday. It passed in a special legislative session. America's listening to Fox News.
Clouds and a little bit of sunshine and a lot of rain this early morning, leading to a flood watch through 7 p.m. this evening. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott here with the stories we are following on WIND Chicago. We're following breaking developments this morning in southern Illinois, where 3 have been killed, 14 others injured in a crash involving a Greyhound bus and multiple commercial vehicles. State police tell us an initial investigation indicates that a Greyhound passenger bus and 3 commercial vehicles were involved in the crash around 2 a.m. along I-70 in Madison County. State police say 3 fatalities were confirmed in the accident near Highland, Illinois. In other news we're following, an investigation is underway after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on Chicago's west side. The teen got into an argument with another person last night. No one is in custody. 5 members of the Chicago Fire Department are recovering following a crash on the south side where a vehicle ran a red light last night and slammed into the fire truck along East 79th. The CFD members are hospitalized in good condition. A suburban man charged in the death of a girl in Rockford is now a person of interest in another death. Natalie Negre was found dead in a Schaumburg hotel room 1 week ago, and evidence now suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Negre before her body was discovered. Monroe is accused of kidnapping and murdering 10-year-old Destiny Huggins, who was found unresponsive outside of an abandoned Rockford home last Saturday. Mayor Brandon Johnson is rejecting the biggest Chicago police union's demand for 12 weeks of paid parental leave for its members. Fraternal Order of Police President John Catanzara made the demand after local teachers were granted 12 weeks of parental leave by Johnson with 0 bargaining. Chicago sports. Justin Steele did his part. The Cub helped the NL over the AL in the All-Star game 3-2. Rookie Bulls, a win over Sacramento, 107-99 in Summer League action. The news, a service of Dan and Amy 24/7, around the clock, all day, every day. Listen now, Dan and Amy 247.com. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Dennis Prager live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, August 24th at Klein Creek Golf Club in Winfield. Dennis will be joined by AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by healthinsurancementors.com and by Blue Star Security.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's inbound 26 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at an hour from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike jams up Manheim to Pulaski, 51 in from Route 390. Stevenson, it's an hour from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I-57 in the Bishop Ford jamming into the Ryan merge. Right now, the Dan Ryan inbound is at 24 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State accident partially blocking the exit ramp to eastbound I-90. And there are problems being cleaned up on the Tri-State southbound at I-80 with an accident being removed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy day, couple of heavy thunderstorms around. Could give us some flash flooding and damaging wind. Our high today, 74. Partly to mostly cloudy, thunderstorm around tonight, low 67. Clouds and humid, scattered thunderstorms for tomorrow, a high at 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
64 at O'Hare, 67 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This from Springfield, Illinois, our state's capital, don't you know? From the father of one of the swimmers on the Springfield YMCA's Typhoons swim team.
Love that team.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good for them. They're staying active in the summertime.
My 16-year-old daughter, a member of the Typhoon swim team there, YMCA, entered the girls' locker room to change out of her swimsuit. Noticed a couple transgender individuals sitting in the locker room. My daughter went back out on the pool deck and informed the head swim coach, Alex Tutora, of the situation. He responded to my daughter saying, there's nothing I can do about it. So dudes in the girls' locker room, 16-year-old wants to change to go, get
to
swim. Right.
And that's not a time in the life when you want to show your body to anybody, not even girls. You're very self-conscious and you need your space.
A couple weeks later.
Oh, no, what happened?
The swim team held the monthly parent meeting where the issue of the girls' locker room use by men was brought up. The CEO of the YMCA there in Springfield said there's nothing we can do about it. Parents asked if the YMCA could ask the dudes to use the family changing area instead of the girls' locker room. They couldn't because it's discrimination against the law. Parents asked if the YMCA could send out a notification to swim team members that dudes were using the girls' locker room so that members could make informed decisions for their family. YMCA staff said they couldn't do that because it's discrimination against the law. My daughter, Dad writes, said she didn't understand why this was happening and asked how long the YMCA knew about this. Her coach, Alex Tatura, laughed and stated, transgender people have been around for a long time. My daughter said, that's not what I asked. Smart kid. Meeting was set up by the YMCA staff for parents to attend and voice their concerns. The YMCA canceled the meeting. Feeling dismissed without resolution, my daughter and another teammate hung signs in the girls' locker room in support of their position. My daughter's signs read women's rights and biological women only and safe sport. Those are the signs. Coach Alex Turturro pulled the girls aside for a meeting to discuss the hanging of the signs. They indicated this was not acceptable because, in fact, it was hate speech. Biological women only, women's rights, safe sport, that is hate speech. My daughter approached Coach Alex Tatura after the meeting and said she was involved in the hanging of the signs. She said she did that because her attempts to correct the issue were dismissed by him and staff. Coach Tatura said again that was hate speech. She was not allowed to participate with the swim team, and she was asked to leave the pool area.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
You see what happens when you concede the premise of the left? It's just pronouns, Dan. It's just pronouns. If you concede their lie, if you erase the line, you don't get to redraw it. And so now you have people that were oblivious or persuaded because they're feeling rather than thinking to, oh, okay, I'll concede the premise. Saying, oh my gosh, the premise has led to the point where my 16-year-old daughter can't swim at the local YMCA and the swim team because she doesn't want to get dressed and undressed in front of dudes in her locker room. Did you see that coming? Most people did not. But when you concede the premise, when you say, I will participate in a lie, just so long it stays here. Well, they don't want it to stay here. It's not going to stay here. You've just said that a lie is the truth. And so now look for the new truth, the lie, to manifest itself in all sorts of ways you didn't anticipate. Because there's all sorts of interests that are happy to run through the gate when you open it. Happy to unshackle any restraints they have when you give them the high sign. And that's what's happening.
Where do they go from here? How do they fight back?
Can't do it. It's against the law. That's discrimination. Can't say it. It's against the law. That's hate speech.
Why can't they use the family bathroom? That's not asking too much.
Asking, you're infringing on their rights. You're doing violence. Asking, you're suggesting that they're not girls. They say
what
they're
about
girls.
Our rights as women?
Yeah,
and as young girls?
The law's gone.
Yeah,
that was all conceded. So this is what you have now. Megan Rapinoe.
Oh boy. I know you're probably heartbroken to learn that she's retired from the sport.
I don't want to mince words about it. Dave Chappelle making jokes about trans people directly leads to violence, whether it's verbal or otherwise.
She doesn't know that.
Right? The sign is violence. Dave Chappelle is responsible. I'm responsible. Anything bad that happens to one of the magical LGBTQIA two-spirit plus persons anywhere in the world is the fault of anybody who is not applauding every step of the way.
And Megan Rapinoe, I mean, she's, promoting trans and women's soccer. This after she fought for equal pay and all of this, and now she's retiring, and a trans person is going to, not if but when, is going to come in and take a woman's spot on the U.S. soccer team.
According to new guidance from the Crown Prosecution Service, that's across the pond in gay England, spouses who object to their partner undergoing gender reassignment surgery or refuse to fund it could be considered domestic abusers.
What?
The body responsible for prosecuting criminal cases investigated by the police has identified a range of behaviors by partners and other family members that could be interpreted as criminal acts against non-binary individuals. They include potential criminal acts: withholding money for transitioning, criticizing the victim for not being a real man or woman, threatening or sharing pre-transition images, or failing to use their preferred name or pronoun, criminalizing it. Oh, well, that's England. We have the Constitution here. Oh, really? State of Michigan's doing the same thing. Not to that extent, but trying to criminalize pronoun usage. Misgendering people, that's a crime. You think that the left in this country is above imposing criminal sanctions for what they term speech crimes? Why do you think they run around calling everything that doesn't conform to their viewpoint hate speech? You think that's a path to nowhere or a path to somewhere? Oh, here's something else that's a repercussion of conceding the lie. Conceding the lie that's foundational. That XX and XY don't matter. That if you say you're a boy, you're a boy. If you say you're a girl, you're a girl. Use my preferred pronouns. Where does that go? Let me introduce you to the good doctor, Blair Peters. Dr. Peters. Dr. Peters is a queer surgeon, his description. And he's got the pink hair to prove it. Canadian-trained queer surgeon at Oregon Health and Science University. Here's what he had to say about mutilating children, gender reassignment surgeries pre-puberty.
One thing that is very new is genital surgery in someone that has underwent pubertal suppression. Not so much an issue in someone with assigned female at birth anatomy that undergoes a phalloplasty, because we're creating something with a free tissue transfer or a flap anyway. But a much bigger issue for an individual that's undergoing a penile inversion vaginoplasty, because we use all of that tissue to basically create the vulva as well as line the internal vaginal canal. And as a specialty, those of us that do a fairly high volume of genital gender affirming surgery, we've maybe done a handful of pubertally suppressed adolescents as a field, and no one's published on it yet. OHSU we're just putting our first series together as we're kind of learning and figuring out what works. But it's really changing things because you don't have enough tissue to line the vaginal canal. So you either have to take a skin graft or take skin from elsewhere or use some artificial product. The way that we're dealing with it is by using a robot, and we're basically performing intra-abdominal components of the surgery. So we're using peritoneum, which is the inner lining of the abdomen, to line most of the vaginal canal.
Isn't this exciting to be on the cutting edge of these scientific innovations? He's talking about sex surgeries, gender reassignment surgeries on prepubescent children who have no experiences of sexual feelings, little ability to consent, or accomplish the required post-surgical procedures. It's complicated.
Well, they're using a robot to castrate boys and then transforming their penis tissue into an artificial vagina.
He says, I think definitely something that we're going to learn a lot more about in the next 5 to 10 years as we're doing just increasing numbers of these cases. Is to be patient. It's a new frontier. It's very exciting.
It's got to be so unbelievably painful.
He said on the matter of consent, it's hard to have a conversation with someone that maybe hasn't went through puberty or ever engaged in sexual activity. It's really a tricky thing. More often than not, there's been almost no general engagement in terms of self-stimulation or masturbation. So then trying to assess things like erogenous outcomes after surgery when someone's never had an erogenous experience is incredibly difficult because they don't, really have a baseline to compare to.
Well, they shouldn't be performing the surgeries in the first place.
Then they grow up to be this dude.
Oh, this is so gross.
This dude has big dreams.
Oh my gosh.
Big dreams.
Are we going to play this?
The first trans woman to have a successful uterus transplant, ovaries and eggs included. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion. I will let a doctor who has successfully transplanted a uterine complex before cut the organs out of a willing, healthy, transmasculine donor, place them in my body. I will devote myself, heart and soul, to their aftercare. I will have as much gay sex as it takes, with as many trans women as it takes, and let the transphobes and homophobes scratch their heads, wondering what to make of it. And I want to be the first trans woman to have an abortion.
When butt babies aren't enough, huh?
I won't be scratching my head as to what to make of it.
That person has mental health issues.
Ralph and Rantoul.
Hey, good morning. If we had been reading this in German and it had been discovered among Joseph Mengele's notes, people would rightfully be shocked and horrified how freakishly evil this is. This sounds like a mashup between Nazis and the sex people down at IU's at the Kinsey people, who had the horrible experiments that the sexual experiments. This is so evil. I can't even believe that somebody like that doctor is allowed to keep his medical license after what he says and what he does and what he promotes. It's this is a bad world we're in right now, Dan and Amy.
Well, I mean, thanks for the call, Ralph. What did we talk about earlier in the week when we were referencing Michael Crichton, talking about all of the institutions and the elites and the foundations and the money all coming together to support a dangerous and turned out to be deadly pseudoscientific theory, eugenics. And what are we doing today? Same thing. What did we learn in 100 years? Not much. We did it with COVID. We watched it happen with COVID. And we've been watching it happen for the past, couple of decades, but particularly in the last half a decade. And people are afraid to be accused of misgendering. They're so afraid to be accused of misgendering, they can't bring themselves to call balls and strikes, if you will. They can't bring themselves to say mutilating children is not good, because all of the institutional powers are aligned on it. So we go along. And there's a few people that protest, and history will record them the way that history recorded the people that opposed the ghastly eugenicists of the 20th century, like Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood. But there's going to be a big body count. George in Rolling Meadows.
Hey, good morning. One thing I'm kind of wondering, take a biological woman that's a transgender man, how come they're not clamoring to use the locker rooms for men, and should they be required to?
Well, we don't, yeah.
Thanks for the
I don't know.
culture. Right, women
Well, all I know is
identifying
that
as men.
This is very one-sided. You don't see women or trans women trying to enter male sports. This is all affecting women's sports, not men's sports at all. Have you heard of anybody doing it yet? A woman taking a position away from a man on a sports team?
Well, no.
Right.
For obvious reasons.
Right.
But even the question about a dude identifying, a woman identifying as a dude wanting to use the men's locker room.
I'm sure it's happened.
I don't know.
I don't.
Probably. But that doesn't present the same threat, obviously, which is why all the action and all the discussion is focused on, a 16-year-old girl who wants to put her swimsuit on so she can swim in the pool, but can't because there's two dudes hanging around looking at her.
And they expect her to use the family locker room and not the two dudes.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Thompson here for my friend Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth. There aren't many people who would knowingly leave their job to start another job for a 30% cut in pay. And yet, people do it every day when they enter retirement. Why enter the exciting new chapter of your life with less money? Why trade the stress of work for more stress in retirement? Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help. Just call Tom at 630-934-1855 for your complimentary, customized retirement. It addresses many of the big questions you may have, like what to do about Social Security, managing your investments, and how to create income you can never outlive. You can downsize your house, but don't downsize your lifestyle. Get a complimentary, customized retirement plan at 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, RWA, an SEC registered investment advisor. RWA and Alpha Wealth Group are independent of each other. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
All right. For years, you've heard how Turnkey is offering more than just managed IT services. Now they've stepped up their game to offer even more business solutions to help you navigate the day-to-day hurdles and help you grow. Let's make some more money. Have you identified strategies for a new revenue stream? Do you want to grow your customer base or increase your bottom line? Guess what? Turnkey can help. Maybe it's a short-term problem like an employee leaving abruptly or filling positions you've had open for months, maybe an IT guy, temporary general manager. Guess what? Turnkey can help. Whether it's a seasonal problem or a long-term need, Turnkey's consulting staff has years of experience in nearly every business function. And for a limited time, Turnkey will provide a free consultation to look at your situation and see what it would take to resolve it. So go to turnkey.pro and learn more. The pros at Turnkey share your values. They are Chicagoland's small business champions. Visit turnkey.pro to book your appointment today. That's turnkey.pro.
Christian Brothers Automotive Repair Shop is a proud partner of AM 560, The Answer. Hi, I'm Johnny Strazak, operator of Christian Brothers of Barrington, dedicated to treating customers right. As auto shop technicians, we know how frustrating it is to have a car that doesn't work, and how it's even worse when you can't identify what the problem is. But don't worry, our ASE certified technicians can help get you back on the road in no time. Our locally owned and operated automotive repair shop in Barrington has deep roots in the community. We are proud to give our customers the same care and quality we give our family and friends when you come into Christian Brothers Barrington Auto Repair. We offer free vehicle pickup and drop-off services, free check engine light courtesy scans, free brake inspections. We also offer a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty, whichever occurs last. And in addition, we work on fleet vehicles and are approved for extended warranty work. Go to cbac.com/Barrington to book your service appointment. Christian Brothers Automotive Repair Shop is located at 908 South Northwest Highway in Barrington. That's cbac.com/Barrington.
Cher fans, do you believe? Make your dreams come true when Tribute Artist of the Year nominee Lisa McClowry takes the stage as Cher to sing 2 great nights with her band. Saturday, July 29th at the Des Plaines Theater and Sunday, July 30th at the Arcata Theater in St. Charles. Celebrate 6 decades of Cher in an amazing live music and multimedia production. The Beat Goes On, featuring all the songs you know and love. plus the inside stories about Cher's life and career. And don't forget those incredible costumes. The beat goes on from Legends and concert star Lisa McLaurin, who sings and talks and moves so much like Cher, you'll swear you're watching Cher herself. The Beat Goes On, Saturday, July 29th at 7:30 at the Des Plaines Theater and Sunday, July 30th at 5 p.m. at the Arcata Theater in St. Charles. Get your tickets now at beatgoesonshow.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
I think I want to go to that concert.
Doing my best Willard Scott impersonation here, although it's not for an octogenarian. Happy birthday to our friend Jennifer Tyson.
Oh, Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer
I
and
miss Jennifer now.
Jennifer and Jonathan infamy.
Oh my gosh.
They're in
we had a hoot.
They're in Wichita.
Yeah, in Kansas.
Yeah.
And they went on many trips with us, our listener trips that we used to have that I want to bring back because that was good bonding time. Good people. And she's a great mom and a great friend. And thanks, Jennifer, for all you do. And happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jennifer. Still listening to us from Wichita. We appreciate it.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
He's still coming on our show. We appreciate it. Steve Moore, economist and author, joins us at 7:37. I'm going to start with a discussion about this push by central banks for a digital currency and see what Steve Moore has to say about that. That's 7:37.
But now into the newsroom we go. To another great man, here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees at 7:33, a flood watch in effect through 7 this evening. Illinois State Police say 3 were killed, 14 others seriously hurt near the southern Illinois town of Highland in a crash involving a Greyhound bus and multiple commercial vehicles. State Police say the initial investigation this morning indicates that Greyhound passenger bus and 3 vehicles were involved in the crash around 2 a.m. right along I-70 in Madison County. State Police say 3 fatalities are now confirmed. The bus was traveling from Indianapolis to nearby St. Louis. A Tennessee surgeon is dead after being shot by a patient in an exam room. Police say Dr. Ben Mauk of the Campbell Clinic near Memphis was shot to death Tuesday by a man who had waited in the clinic for hours. Collierville Police Chief Dale Lane says the shooter fired a handgun, then ran outside and was apprehended by police. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has told the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky he belongs in NATO. Former ambassador to NATO, Ivo Dolder, says the ongoing war with Russia shouldn't hold back the security alliance from letting Ukraine in.
If you say you join after the war, you're giving Russia an excuse to continue the war for as long as it possibly can.
Sunak and Zelensky met on the sidelines at the NATO summit. Iowa's Republican-led legislature has passed a strong pro-life bill banning most abortions after roughly 6 weeks of pregnancy. The vote came during a marathon session on Tuesday.
It's pretty demoralizing for those of us that take care of women to have the potential of losing the ability to practice full-spectrum care for our patients.
Protesters were on the floor of the Senate for a time before being removed by Iowa State Police. Republican Governor Kim Reynolds says she'll sign that bill. An investigation continues after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on the West Side. Police say the teen got into an argument with another person last night in the 5000 block of West Washington Boulevard. A suburban man charged in the death of a girl in Rockford is now a person of interest in another death. Natalie Negray was found dead in a Schaumburg hotel room a week ago. Evidence now suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Negray before her body was discovered. Monroe, you may recall, is accused of kidnapping and murdering 10-year-old Destiny Huggins, who was found unresponsive outside of an abandoned Rockford home last Saturday. Chicago Housing Commissioner Marissa Novara is stepping down, announcing her resignation yesterday. A committee of Elmhurst aldermen say they need to raise $40 million over a decade to pay for stormwater projects. Monday night, the elected officials rejected a stormwater fee but settled on a sales tax increase of 0.25% that will raise about $1.9 million a year. The TSA says they have seized a major haul of firearms at O'Hare. TSA agents confiscated 49 weapons at the airport at security checkpoints as of June 30. Cubs starting pitcher Justin Steele did his job helping seal the National League's 3-2 win over the AL in the All-Star game. It's the first win for the senior circuit over the junior circuit since 2012. The news, a service of MyPillow. The brand new MyPillow 2.0 is buy one, get one free with promo code LIBERTY, machine washable and dryable. So visit MyPillow.com and use that promo code LIBERTY. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees something off.
What they are really against is the notion within the West that there should be economic growth. One should learn to enjoy life with economic shrinking. The idea that we want the economy to grow is a bad idea. These are sick people. Every leftist is sick.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
One of the most important decisions you can make as a parent is where you send your kids to school. But these days, it's never been harder to know which school is best. Public schools have changed a lot, and you might be thinking about sending your child to a private Christian school. But you also know that private school can be expensive, and in this economy, you might think it's not an option. Well, think again. With halfpriceschools.com, you can purchase tuition vouchers for half the price of normal tuition for private schools. For nearly 10 years, halfpriceschools.com has helped families from all over Chicagoland make the dream of private school a reality. And that can be the reality for you and your child too. Just go to halfpriceschools.com, search for a private Christian school near you, and purchase a voucher. It's that easy. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
When it comes to remodeling your home, are you picky, fussy, persnickety, particular, demanding, and just downright hard to please? Do you value quality over speed? Getting it done right over just getting it done? Well then, Mr. and Mrs. Persnickety, do yourself a favor and check out Forever Remodeling. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. To call us perfectionists would be understating our attention to detail. If you said we were OCD when it comes to creating spectacular kitchens, bathrooms, basements, and additions, we'd be guilty as charged. Forever Remodeling takes the time to meticulously get the job done exactly right. So if you're a stickler for details, if your standards are ridiculously high, then check out Forever Remodeling. We can promise you a best of the best of the best experience. Our number is 847-809-3355 or go to foreverremodeling.com. Foreverremodeling.com.
Okay, I have a question. Do you want to eat more fruits and vegetables, but it's just too hard? Let me tell you about Balance of Nature. We all know that our bodies need a wide variety of fruits and vegetables to get the proper amount of nutrition. Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies provides a colorful variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. Your body will get thousands of phytonutrients from every capsule. Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:40 on AM 560, The Answer. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start in Tinley Park, 191st east and westbound between 80th and 85th Court shut down due to high standing water and flooding. Oak Park, Taylor Avenue, north and southbound between Chicago Avenue and Iowa, per Oak Park Police, is closed due to a sinkhole. This could last a few days. 8094 jammed up westbound Grant to Indianapolis Boulevard because of an earlier accident. An accident partially blocking the exit ramp northbound on the Tri-State to eastbound I-90 this morning. Stevenson Expressway is jammed solid 55 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Cloudy with showers and heavier thunderstorms in your forecast. Watch for flooding. High 74. 64 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Don't miss Cigar Night with Dennis Prager, Dan Proft, and Sean Thompson on Thursday, August 24th. Get your tickets today at 560theanswer.com/cigar.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. All right, so the central bank push for a digital currency, pushed by central bankers the globe over. First, this is Cornell professor Eswar Prasad, who's a digital currency expert, allegedly. This is Prasad talking before the before your global betters at the World Economic Forum about the advantages of a central bank digital currency, government-sanctioned digital currency, in other words.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
Yeah, that would be very powerful if if the currency went digital and I couldn't purchase ammo. That would be powerful. If you think that's just a one-off, that's just some egghead in the Ivy League talking. Here's Agustin Carstens, who is a central banker for Mexico. He's now the GM for the Bank for International Settlements. Here's what he had to say.
For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
No, the programmatic feature, being able to prevent or allow you to spend money on a particular thing and then tracking you and your spending. Sounds great. For more on this and other topics, including a new inflation number, June over June, Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla, joins us. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys.
So where do you come down on a digital currency from the central bank?
Well, I was familiar with that first quote that you played by that economist or whoever he is. It's gone viral on the internet because it's just a stupid and kind of Orwellian thing to say that the government's going to be able to track all your purchases and they can decide what you can and can't purchase and it's where does that stop? Are they going to tell, oh, you're a little overweight, maybe you shouldn't buy these sugary products?
Yes, why not?
It's all in your best interest, Dan.
Exactly.
Don't you understand? They have your best interest at stake here.
Well,
so it is. Look, we are going to move towards a digital currency. I mean, it is inevitable. I don't even really use cash much anymore. And the question is, who's going to control it? That's why, people ask me all the time about cryptos, and the thing I like about cryptos is that they aren't controlled by the central banks, and they're not controlled by government entities, and that's why a lot of people have invested in cryptos. Now, cryptos don't have the full faith and credit of the United States government behind them either, so they're riskier. But I do worry in this day and age. We saw what they did under COVID, where the government used extraordinary powers to shut down the livelihoods of 100 million Americans. We've seen what they're doing with climate change, and so I wouldn't put it past these people. And by the way, it's for the public good. Don't you understand this, Dan? It's to make society better off.
No, I know. Save lives. I get it. Yeah, of course. It's to save lives. It's for the kids.
Yeah.
No, I got it. But it just, I assume and hope there's some people pumping the brakes with respect to how
Incidentally,
this would develop.
There is a reason why all the central bankers and all the politicians are against cryptocurrencies. And the answer is because they can't control those. Right. They have no control over them. And that's why, despite some of the problems that cryptos have had, I think it's a positive thing when you have private sector alternatives to government currencies.
Want to get your response to the news out just this morning. Wall Street Journal estimating consumer prices rose only 3.1% in June, year over year, June from a year earlier. That's below the 4% in May, and we're closing in on the Fed's 2% target. We tamed the inflation beast.
No, we haven't. And in fact, I think that we're going to see inflation go back to the 4 to 5 to 6% range. But, this is good news, by the way, that inflation has come. I mean, remember exactly a year ago, the report that came out had us at 9.2% inflation. So, that was the worst number we had since Jimmy Carter was president. And so this is good news that we brought it down to, what is it? I think 3.2, 3.3%. But we still have a lot of work to do. And prices are up, folks, 18% since Biden came into office. 18%. That means everything you're buying is 18% more expensive on average than when Trump was president. So we have a lot of work to do. Look, what I'm concerned about now, though, is what's going on with the growth of the private sector economy. Now, Dan, do you know what because we just got this jobs report out on Friday, which was a lousy report when they did the revisions. We only had 99,000 jobs in an economy this big. That's pretty close to zero. Do you know what, over the last 6 months, Dan, was the fastest growing industry in terms of employment?
Government.
Yes, government.
Really?
Government outpaced manufacturing, construction, wholesale, retail, even healthcare, education, blah, 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 professional services. Government was the number one employer. What is wrong with this picture? We've got a $2.2 trillion deficit we're running this year, and the government there's no recession in government right now. I guarantee it. They're on a hiring spree.
Well, and the fact that inflation is down to 3.1% must speak to, at least in part, higher interest rates and higher prices, cutting off demand, which means that there's a lot of people in the middle to lower middle that can't be enjoying the Bidenomics of the day at present, while it's sort of papered over with the market recovery. Those who are in the market, doing fine, and so it sort of papers over what may be bubbling below the surface. Is that fair?
I think it is. And I'm going to give you another quiz, if I may, for this morning. In the federal budget, do you know what the fastest growing item in the federal budget is today?
John Podesta's slush fund.
Green energy.
Yeah.
Green energy.
Well, you're close. I mean, that's way up there. But the biggest increase item in the budget today in America, ladies and gentlemen, is interest we pay on the federal debt.
Mm-hmm.
So interest in 3 or 4 years will be higher than our entire national defense industry. So we've put ourselves in quite an enormous hole under these Biden. And by the way, it's not just Biden. I mean, Trump borrowed a lot of money too. I mean, it's just gotten completely out of control. I do worry that we're going to have a financial crisis if we stay on this course. And meanwhile, you mentioned, we've had now, I think it's 10 rate increases by the Fed in the last year. They're threatening 2 more. Some of the economists I listen to think that their Fed funds rate will go up to 6%. Well, my God, we were at 0 a year and a half ago. Now we're going to be headed to 6%. That increases mortgages. That increases consumer credit card debt. Consumer credit card debt in America today is now just over $1 trillion. How are we maintaining our living standards? We're borrowing like crazy.
Well, yeah, people that are living paycheck to paycheck at the grocery store, they're using their credit cards now, which I would never do, but that's what they have to do to survive. But President Biden's, he's saying he's doing a good job. The economy is going well. That's he's the leader. So he's obviously a pathological liar, or he doesn't know math.
And he's also, he also says that he has reduced the deficit more than any other president.
Yeah, that's right.
Dan and Amy, did you know that? Yeah. He is the most fiscally conservative president we've ever had, even though in the last 12 months we borrowed another $2.1 trillion. Look, the problem with that message for Biden is that you got still 70% of Americans who say the economy is headed in the wrong direction and their own finances are headed in the wrong direction. So it makes him seem completely out of touch with, real America. I mean, Bill Clinton was famous for saying, I feel your pain. Well, Biden's like, you have no pain. Everything's wonderful in America. Don't worry about the fact that everything's 18% more expensive. Don't worry about that enormous debt you have. Blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about the fact that we have a $32 trillion national debt. And guess what? People are worried about it.
Hey, I wanted to get your reaction to this here locally in Chicago. I think you'd appreciate this observation about real estate development. It comes from a board member of In These Times magazine, which is Maoist in orientation. He's also a housing director for some Logan Square Housing Action Coalition deal. He said this, his name's Christian Diaz, developers are 100% oppressors who profit from displacement and should be regulated to the max, not given free rein with blanket upzones. Right. The world's most famous developer is Donald Trump, who embodies the values of the real estate industry. I don't think he means that in a complimentary way. Is displacement in urban centers, is that the result of unregulated developers? Is that what's happening in big cities like New York and Chicago? Is unregulated developers seeking to maximize their profits are displacing those who apparently have some sort of God-given right to the property they currently occupy?
Well, I got to tell you, people who I know who are in the real estate development business are moving out of cities, big cities like Chicago, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Milwaukee, Detroit, as fast as they can. Of the high taxes, the fact that the crime is out of control in cities, and so this is a disaster. Look at how many. I don't know if you're experiencing this in Chicago, but in New York, there's no more CVS pharmacies. There's no more. A lot of the even the fast food restaurants and stuff are shutting down because people are going in and they're just stealing stuff. Right. They're just stealing stuff right off of the shelves.
Or at Starbucks, you can only go in and pick up mobile orders because they don't want people to assemble.
Oh, by the way,
craziest thing, they're starting that from like 3 to 7 p.m. You can only, you can't sit down.
Yeah, but in addition to crime, though, which is real, and by the way, the stabbing of that shoplifter at CVS to death in New York is sending shockwaves. That's very interesting how that fleshes out. But also the policy response. The policy response in Chicago is to do a LaSalle Street Reimagine, turn vacant office space in the financial district into public housing projects. Think that turns out well? That makes the downtown more attractive, do you think?
Yeah, did you see what they're doing in Los Angeles? And I tell you this because every bad idea starts in California and then it migrates to Chicago. They're going to tell, they have so many homeless people in L.A. now. They're going to require the hotels to provide rooms for the homeless people. I mean, come on. Can you imagine into the Beverly Hills Hilton and then you got a homeless person sleeping in the lobby of your hotel? I mean, it's really completely outrageous. But I don't know if you saw, we had a little cartoon in our hotline the other day, and it actually wasn't a cartoon, it was a real photograph, but it was so funny we put it in as a humor item. You know how these stores are now putting things like in plastic, like the expensive merchandise you have
locked behind plastic.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now they're putting spam.
Spam?
Yeah. You want to buy a jar of spam? Yeah, it's locked up. That's how bad it is.
Might as well just order online and have them, pick it up. rather than go through that. Like somebody has to babysit you while you're going through CVS. And somebody you're like, no, I want this one. Now I need this cabinet unlocked. I need this cabinet unlocked. It takes forever.
Yeah. Yep.
Steve,
By the way, I remember we're running out of time. I want to make one other quick point.
Yes.
I want everybody to go to Committee to Unleash Prosperity website and look at our new ad, which is comparing Democratic leaders like your mayor in Chicago who opposed school choice to George Wallace, who basically stood in front of the school doors 60 years ago this summer and said, no, black kids can't go to white schools. Now the Democrats are the ones who are saying, no, they're the new segregationists. No, we're not going to allow black children to go to good schools. They have to stay in these horrific schools. That's what your mayor is saying. That's what I don't know if you saw Shapiro in Pennsylvania, the governor who put on school choice. What is with Democrats? I thought they cared about minorities.
That's why Georgia state legislators like Misha Maynor are coming over to our side. It's a great thing. Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla authors. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. Take care.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
What does it mean to be pro-life? Picture women living in a welcoming, family-like setting during and after an unexpected pregnancy, going to school or working, learning life skills. Picture a caring Christian staff who walk through these challenges, providing support and guidance. Picture a community of faith-filled supporters who answer the call to support life. That's pro-life at Redeeming Life's Maternity Home Ministry. We are a Christian organization founded to support pregnant women in unexpected pregnancies by offering a home, help, and hope during pregnancy and up to a year postpartum. We are opening a maternity home in suburban Chicago in 2023 and welcome you to learn more about how you can support God's gift of life by supporting women who courageously choose life for their unborn babies. Visit rlom.org for info and opportunities to help furnish this new maternity house and provide a home, help, and hope. Get involved to support life. Visit rlom.org today.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
America First with Sebastian Gorka. Today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer. News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com. On the AM 560 mobile app. Tune in, iHeart, and on Odyssey.
It's the lowest annual inflation in more than 2 years. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. 3%, according to the Labor Department's Consumer Price Index, with prices rising 0.2% from May to June.
Core inflation, excluding food and energy, rose 4.8% in the year ending in June. Price increases have been retreating since topping 9%, though the Federal Reserve is working to push inflation back to the 2% level. And the Fed is widely expected to continue raising interest rates again later this month. Ginny Kosola, Fox News.
NATO members are bolstered today by the presence of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. That means the whole G7 is in the house and can ratify a security deal for Ukraine. It'll include defense equipment, training and intelligence sharing. All this isn't quite enough for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He was told yesterday NATO isn't ready to give him a timetable for membership.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Biden's meeting again with Ukraine's President Zelensky at that NATO summit and closes out the summit with a speech scheduled for 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time. There's more rain expected in the next couple of days, but for now, Rivers are receding in Montpelier, Vermont, leaving behind a muggy mess.
Many areas had over a half-foot of rain that led to flooding on Monday night, causing many to worry about the Wrightsville Dam breaching, making the situation worse. At this time, it is not a threat, but Governor Scott says thousands have lost property because of the flooding.
And Governor Scott says they're not out of the woods yet. That was Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell in Montpelier. 3 people are reported to have been killed, 14 seriously injured in an overnight Greyhound bus crash in Highland, Illinois. Police say that bus hit 3 commercial vehicles that were parked on an exit ramp on Interstate 70. The bus, we're told, was traveling from Indianapolis to St. Louis. That roadway is obviously closed this morning. America's listening to Fox News.
.64 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Illinois State Police tell us 3 were killed, 14 seriously hurt near the southern Illinois town of Highland along I-70 in a crash involving a Greyhound bus and multiple commercial vehicles. State Police say the initial investigation says the Greyhound passenger bus was traveling from Indianapolis to nearby St. Louis along I-70 in Madison County around 2 a.m. today. An investigation is underway after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on Chicago's west side. There is no one in custody. 5 members of the Chicago Fire Department are recovering from a crash on the south side. It happened in the 300 block of East 79th when a vehicle ran a red light and slammed into that fire truck. A Gary, Indiana lounge is closed following a deadly shooting. The city's shutting down the Up Top Lounge after 1 person was shot and killed. 3 others were wounded early Saturday at that business. Former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald may start a legal battle against his former employer. Meantime, State Representative Cam Buckner is now setting up a Bill of Rights for athletes who may have been hazed.
These are very disturbing allegations. There are still, I think, more questions than answers for folks. But even before these allegations came to fore, there has been some work on trying to create a student-athletes Bill of Rights here in Illinois.
Fitzgerald's attorney Dan Webb telling ESPN while no lawsuit has been filed yet, he thinks the university breached Fitzgerald's contract. National League over the AL in the All-Star Game 3-2, the first win for the senior circuit since 2012. The news, a service of Tom Mirabali Insurance. No matter the time of year, you can purchase a PPO health insurance plan that eliminates the mandatory maternity coverage. Get started at healthplanchicago.com. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Wall Street's focus today will be the Consumer Price Index for June. Domino's Pizza has a new agreement with Uber that will allow customers to order from Domino's through Uber Eats and Postmates. Delivery will be from Domino's own service. The rollout is expected this fall in pilot markets. Chipmaker Broadcom's takeover of cloud computing company VMware has been cleared by regulators in the European Union. The deal is valued at about $77 billion. Though San Diego-based Illumina has been fined more than $400 million in Europe for closing its deal to buy cancer test company Grail before it cleared regulators. Illumina makes gene sequencing machines and the chemicals those machines use. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
The best conversations happen with a cigar in one hand and a fine drink in the other. Join Dennis Prager live in Chicago for Cigar Night on Thursday, August 24th at Klein Creek Golf Club in Winfield. Dennis will be joined by AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson for an evening of cigar smoking and good conversation. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by healthinsurancementors.com and by Blue Star Security.
Barbecue bags and brews sound great right about now. But are you really ready to entertain on that dirty, oil-stained driveway or patio? No oil stain removal is too big or too small for Cabino Environmental. Whether you're a homeowner or a business owner, you can use Cabino Oil Stain Remover. It's a safe, effective, and powerful oil stain lifting formula. This is not the same stuff you buy at the big box store. This is a concentrated, all-natural stain lifter that goes deep into the concrete or brick for superior cleaning. Simply pour it on the soiled area, let it dry, and then brush away. Start your cleanup at CabinoEnvironmental.com. The Cabino Environmental Response Team will come to your rescue across Northern Illinois and the Milwaukee area. And you can purchase the Cabino Oil Stain Remover online and have it shipped anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Can't wait? Cabino Oil Stain Remover is also now available at your local Rental Max.
Can you believe it? We're already in the 7th month of the year. More than halfway through. It's time to reset your resolutions. You got to take care of yourself. Nobody wants to look like J.B. Pritzker. I utilize and control my appetite many different ways. One of my favorite ways is 120life.com. Not only does it help me with my appetite, but it controls my blood pressure. High blood pressure affects 1 in 2 adults in America today. Most of them are unaware that they even have high blood pressure. Now, don't worry. There are ways to lower your blood pressure naturally. My favorite way is 120life.com. You can drink it in its usual original format, the juice, or they have a new powdered formula. It's easy to carry. 1 gram of sugar, 5 calories. You can put it in your pocket. Still has the same ingredients. So I encourage you to restart your resolutions this July. Check out 120life.com. That's 120life.com and use coupon code LIBERTY to save 15% on your order. Plus, free shipping. And get this, you'll earn customer rewards point with every order. 120 Life. We need more stuff like this.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. The Edens at 36 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy at an hour and a half from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at about an hour 10 from 390 to the Old Post Office. While the Stevenson is sitting at doable 47 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. I-57 outbound, accident on the left-hand shoulder. Outbound at 99th, car in the ditch right now. DuSable Lakeshore Drive is solid northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today. A couple of heavy thunderstorms could give us a bit of flash flooding and damaging wind. Our high today 74. A thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 67. Clouds and humid. Scattered thunderstorms for tomorrow. High tomorrow near 80. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
64 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Kenny Hsu, president at Colorus United. He's also a board member at Students for Fair Admission. So as we talked about a bit last week, he had a particular interest in the Supreme Court decision eliminating race-based discrimination at the collegiate level, with particular emphasis on the Ivy League. And he was on Fox last week talking about this a bit and responding to Ivy League professor Eddie Glaude, who had this to say about the decision.
We will return to elite institutions, more specifically being the space for a particular population, for predominantly white and Asian students. We will begin to see a kind of segregated higher education landscape.
Segregated higher education landscape. Actually, that's something that the left is promoting from pre-K through post-secondary these days, isn't it? Kenny Hsu responding.
I think they're just going to have to put up with it. They're just going to have to put up with the fact that more Asians are going to get into Harvard, more Asians are going to get into Princeton. They really don't like that for some reason. Why? Why does the Ivy League not like the fact that their class might become 40% Asian? What's wrong with that? Are the Asians getting in because of preference? No. They're getting in because of merit. They're getting in because Asians have 35% of the top SAT scores in the nation. They get in because that's their merit, and that's the just reward for their merit. And because if you're an elite school, if you're Harvard or Princeton, you should be getting the most elite candidates academically, and Asians happen to be the most elite candidates academically.
For more on this, pleased to be joined by Kenny Hsu, president at Colorist United, author of School of Woke, How Critical Race Theory Infiltrated American Schools and Why We Must Reclaim Them, which is available August 1st. Kenny, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Appreciate being on.
So why does it bother them, those that oppose the Supreme Court's decision? Well, I mean, your answer belies the question, right? Why does it bother them? Because it's merit-based and they're entitlement-based. I mean, doesn't it boil down to that?
Well, sort of. You know, I don't really answer the question. It's kind of a difficult question to answer. Like, why is Harvard bothered by so many Asians? I think there is genuine prejudice. I think there is genuine prejudice among Harvard admissions officers. As you know, Harvard is admissions is, you know, they used to do this against Jews, right?
Yeah.
They used to assign Jews low characteristics for character and fitness, and then basically outside alumni pressure forced them to admit more Jews. And now there are a ton of Jews at Harvard. It's like 33% of their white class, and they have become the admissions body at Harvard. So, and now they're doing the same thing against Asians. Ironically enough, the Jewish people that were discriminated against are now the ones doing the discriminating. So it's kind of like, why would they do that? You know, there's just an inherent distaste for having too many Asians in their group. That's what it is. It is prejudice.
Well, there's that, and I mean, I think part of it too is, and this isn't really psychoanalysis. I mean, they demonstrate it, they say it. They're not very couched about it. I think part of it is just what I would characterize as this sort of noxious white man's burden they have, that we need to uplift the downtrodden, and that means we need to make room for people we don't think could otherwise get in, which is not a very responsible commentary on a whole group of people who are not the same, regardless of race. But that's how they do it. I mean, it's sort of a you're right. It is an odd thing where the discriminated against become the discriminators, but that's what happens in identitarian politics. You're playing group politics, and so we're in charge. So we've decided that these are privileged people like us, and these are oppressed people, and we're going to help the oppressed because we're good people.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. The funny thing is, when I first went on tour for my first book, An Inconvenient Minority, and I just talked to a lot of normal people, including a lot of normal white people, they all hated the fact that Asians were getting discriminated against. Like, barely anybody wanted Asians to get discriminated against. It's even like, you know, whites and everything like that. I don't really think it's a white man's burden. I think there's a certain kind of culture at Harvard where, you know, they're really steeped into critical theory. And critical theory really teaches that power is the ultimate relationship. So, you know, we don't want Asians to get too powerful, basically. We don't want Asians to get too powerful on campus. Ironically, you know, they said the same thing about Jewish people. Now Jewish people are 33% of the white people at the university. Now they're saying the same thing about Asians. So I really think there is a sort of we want to balance power at the university, and we don't want Asians to get too powerful.
Well, so, I mean, the question I had after watching your interview and just thinking about this, too, the criticism of Harvard, which is well-founded, is why even bother? Why don't all these talented Asian American students who have the resumes they have, the academic resumes they have, why not take it to a school that is excited to have you and that will work to develop your talents, challenge you and develop your talents and skills rather than look at you with a jaundiced eye saying you took the place of somebody with different skin tones that I wanted here. You know what I mean? Why not punish Harvard and the Ivy League?
The answer to that is obvious, because most Americans would take the opportunity to go to Harvard should they get in. I mean, it's a place of unmerited prestige. No, I think so.
I know a lot of high achieving families now that are, because of the Ivy League's performance over the last couple of decades, the prestige notwithstanding. I don't want my kid going to an Ivy League school. It's the old, I don't want to.
I'm glad that's changing.
Yeah,
I'm glad that's changing then, because.
But I mean, if
when I was applying, most high achieving kids wanted to go to Harvard.
Well, me too. But
I didn't apply.
Me too. But here's the thing.
Then there you go.
But no, I know. But now there's a recognition. You watch behavior and then you say, okay, well, that's different than I thought. And here's the other thing that you recognize when you're not 22. Well, you're not 18 years old anymore, and you're all about status and prestige, and your parents too, maybe. Is, wait a second, if I've got the kind of chops to get into Yale or Harvard, then I could go to Purdue or University of Illinois or San Jose State, and I am still going to be a killer when it comes to whatever profession I choose.
Yeah, and that's what I realized. I went to Davidson, which is in North Carolina, and I applied to Princeton, didn't get in, even with the 2320 SAT and the 4.5 GPA, but I pretty much killed it at Davidson. And now that I've become, what I've become, an author, commentator, featured on these issues, I've become definitely infamous, not famous, on campus.
You're the Steph Curry of public policy. See Steph Curry. He didn't get to go to, he didn't go to North Carolina or Duke. He went to Davidson, and he's the best player in the NBA. So look at you, Davidson boys.
Yeah, pretty much. Good represent.
All right.
So yeah.
Oh yeah. How is Harvard going to get around this? Because they're not going to have all Asian student body.
How is Harvard going to get around this?
Yeah, around the Supreme Court rule.
They're going to try to eliminate SATs or water down that consideration. They're going to try to use socioeconomic preferences and other proxies for race. They're going to try to do anything they can to skirt this ruling. But I'll tell you what, the instant somebody goes to court against them about it, they're going to lose, because the ruling is clear. You can't use race in admissions, directly or indirectly.
And the other thing that's happening already is you're already seeing people using this case to at least think about challenging DIE programs or protocols in corporate America, as well as at the K through 12 level. So this is going to have ramifications beyond the college campus, beyond college admissions.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. When meritocracy, culture of excellence, is all about giving people equal opportunities and then treating people according to their merits. It's not about equal outcomes. Harvard wanted equal outcomes between the races. You can't have that anymore. But what we can do at the K-12 level, as I argue in my new book, School of Woke, is that we can actually focus our attention now on why black kids are not achieving at the level that white kids or Asian kids are, and point to the cultural factors, and then use this decision impetus for us to change the K-12 system to actually get people to meet the bar instead of lowering the bar to receive them.
Do you think it took this case and the notoriety surrounding the sort of discriminatory admissions policies that were practiced at places like Harvard to wake up a lot of Asian Americans to what's been happening in K-12 and at the collegiate level, to perhaps inform their opinions about what's happening culturally here in this identitarian era?
Of course. This is unfortunately, Harvard has created identity politics. It's a Harvard-created invention. It is about group power, and I never believed in that. I believed we're all Americans, but Asian Americans culturally have not spoken up for themselves. And this case was really the logical sort of brain meld for them that made them realize, oh, Harvard is allowed to do this, then other institutions across the country are going to be allowed to do this to my children. I have to fight for them, and they did, and we've won important victories in now the Students for Fair Admissions case.
Well, congratulations on that. He is Kenny Xu, president of Colorists United. Congratulations to all of us on that, I should add. He's also the author of the book School of Woke, How Critical Race Theory Infiltrated American Schools and Why We Must Reclaim Them. That's available August 1. I'm sure you can pre-order at all the usual places. School of Woke is the book. Kenny Xu is the author. Kenny, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois. Recently, I saved a woman from being robbed. Her husband had passed away, and some of his friends had stopped by to buy his guns. Luckily for her, she heard my commercials and decided to call me before she sold them. I'm happy to report that she received at auction over 4 times the amount she had been offered. It's a simple, easy process. Donnelly Auction holds a federal firearms license and does all the necessary paperwork to sell your guns legally at auction. And we offer free pickup. So call me before you sell them outright, because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at donnellyauctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your guns and military collections, so call me today at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
You can shed that fat, be slimmer for the summer. No more wearing cover-ups or T-shirts in the pool. NJ Diet will help you the natural way. There are no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. You'll lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40-plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. They use your hair, saliva, and blood work, along with bioenergetic scans, to personalize natural solutions and supplements that get your body into the fat-burning zone so you can finally lose the weight. Then NJ Diet uses DNA info to help you keep it off. Best of all, it's contractually guaranteed. You're fully supervised the entire time to make sure you're burning fat, not just losing water. And you even get Dr. T's personal email and phone number. Dr. T, Dr. Turovitz, is the founder of NJ Diet. NJ Diet has locations close by in Skokie and Oak Brook, or is available from home with live online video consultations. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
All right, it's going to be raining today, tonight. It rained yesterday. How's your basement holding up? How's your crawl space? If you have water seeping in, if your backup sump pump broke, call Permaseal. They've been around for 41 years and A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they've served more than 500,000 customers in Northwest Indiana and in the Chicagoland area. 1-800-421-SEAL, 421-7325 or go to permaseal.net. They will come over with their trained technicians and take a look at your property, your basement or crawl space, and see what needs to be done to keep that water out. 800-421-SEAL or go to permaseal.net.
If you're selling your home or purchasing a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Team Hochberg is offering every listener the Perks at Work benefit, which can save you thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction. Here's how it works. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor sells your home, they'll reduce their fee up to 1%. When a Team Hochberg affiliated realtor helps you purchase a home, you will receive up to 1% of their commission in the form of a closing cost credit. Team Hochberg will credit all of your loan origination fees, and our affiliated attorney will reduce his fee. Last year, a couple who was buying and selling a home saved close to $9,000 with the Team Hochberg Perks at Work program. To learn how you can save thousands of dollars on your next real estate transaction, please give me a call now at 855-56-DAVID or visit our website, 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit our website, 56david.com. Lower.com, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Everyone drives at Metro Ford. When you're shopping for a new vehicle, you have high expectations. At Metro Ford, we love meeting and exceeding those standards for each and every customer. You'll be amazed at our fast and hassle-free shopping experience. Visit our website at emetroford.com and design your dream deal with just a few clicks. Shop our inventory of new and used vehicles. Customize a payment that works for you. You can even sign online and drive away today. It's that easy. Plus, we'll find the very best deals and incentives for people of any credit situation. Good credit, bad credit, no problem. That's why we say everyone drives at Metro Ford. Stop in today. We're located at 6455 Southwestern Avenue in Chicago. Or shop at your convenience 24/7 at emetroford.com. Find out why.
Metro Ford's on everywhere. Metro Ford's on everywhere.
Want some wins? Wintrust Community Banks is proud to be ranked #1 in customer satisfaction with personal banking in Illinois by J.D. Power. That's one win. And we did it for the second year in a row. That's a win-win. And you can now earn even more interest with our new savings rates. That's a win-win-win. To get your savings some wins, visit wintrust.com/locknewrates today. That's wintrust.com/locknewrates. Members FDIC. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Closing out my week, because I'm off the next 2 days.
Oh, don't go.
Yeah, I have to. Closing out my week with Why Dan Proft is Single. We'll also update how well my parenting tip worked for Amy and her baby boy, Peyton.
He's just a baby.
At 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
64 degrees at 8:30, and a flood watch is in effect through 7 p.m. this evening. Illinois State Police say 3 were killed, 14 others seriously hurt near the southern Illinois town of Highland in a crash involving a Greyhound bus and multiple commercial vehicles. It all happened near a rest stop along I-70 in Madison County. The bus was traveling from Indianapolis to nearby St. Louis. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has had a side meeting at the NATO summit with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. saying he does belong in NATO. Zelensky has been frustrated by the reluctance of NATO's member states to agree on a timetable for membership. FBI Director Christopher Wray is scheduled to testify before Congress today, appearing before the House Judiciary Committee. The clock is ticking for Big Brown. They're trying to avoid the largest strike in the U.S. since the 1950s. Talks between UPS and the Teamsters Union fell apart again. UPS workers voted to authorize a strike by July 31st. A new 6-week abortion bill is passed by the Iowa legislature after a one-day special session. Story County Democrat Representative Beth Wessel-Crochelle says in her opinion the law is not right.
It's not our place to decide for someone else whether they should become a parent. Decisions about whether to end a pregnancy or not must be made personally. This legislation will kill women.
Iowa Republican Representative Brad Sherman is in support of the pro-life legislation.
Abortion is never safe for a baby, ever. Abortion always results in a death. The baby is not being considered very much here this afternoon, and I want to speak up for those unborn babies.
Several protesters entered the Senate chamber and disrupted the session. An investigation continues here in the Chicago area after a 16-year-old girl was shot and killed on the west side. No one is in custody. A suburban man charged in the death of a girl in Rockford is now a person of interest in another death. Evidence suggests Antonio Monroe of Blue Island was with Natalie Negre before her body was discovered in a Schaumburg hotel room. Monroe is accused of kidnapping and murdering 10-year-old Destiny Huggins in Rockford last Saturday. Police are conducting a death investigation after a baby boy was found unresponsive on Chicago's south side. Cook County ME identifies the 2-month-old as Caden Tapler. Chicago sports, Justin Steele did his part in the National League's 3-2 win over the AL. Steele gave up one hit for the Northsiders, striking out one during a scoreless fifth in the senior circuit's first win over the AL since 2012. Fire tried to get a winning streak going when they host Montreal tonight. The News is a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice. 630-674-1551 or healthinsurancementors.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher, The Mike Gallagher Show.
Have you heard about Hunter Biden's text message to a Chinese business associate?
I don't know if it's going to break through. The mainstream media has an excuse again not to cover it. They're covering everything about Russia and the Wagner Group.
That's how pitiful and corrupt and despicable they are.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm older and I have more energy, just like all the commercials that I see on TV. So it really is a help to my well-being.
I'm 80 years old. I clean up after 450 kids in the cafeteria for 3 hours, and then I clean 300 steps, and then I vacuum carpets and clean halls in 5 hours because for an 80-year-old, that's a lot to do. And I still have energy after work. I consider it a great success.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. For a limited time this summer, get $25 off your first order as a preferred customer, plus a free fruits and veggies travel set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The Boston Consulting Group in Chicago, Illinois, seeks a partner/ECT director to oversee and direct multiple consulting engagements focusing on transformation initiatives, reorganization, and development of growth strategies. Requires a bachelor's degree or foreign education equivalent in business administration, management science, or a quantitative field related to a BCG client industry, and 7 years of experience as a management consultant, business analyst, or a quantitative analyst, which must include at least 3 years of experience in management strategy. Will also accept a master's degree or higher in the same fields and 5 years of experience as a management consultant, business analyst, or a quantitative analyst, which must include at least 3 years of experience in management strategy. Partial telecommute benefit available. Domestic/international travel required up to 80% based on company/client need. Send resume to chiptr@bcg.com.
8:36. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Irish Spring. Those sensational suds are just the reset you need to own the day. Irish Spring, when the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring at your local retailer today. Kennedy inbound is at 90 minutes right now from O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. The Ike-In, it's an hour 7 from 390 to the old post office. Stevenson right now is running on the inbound side at 45 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive and jamming up outbound as you travel between Central and Harlem. An accident cleared along I-57 inbound right near 99th. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, a headache all morning long. Now jammed up northbound between Roosevelt and Monroe. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy, showers, maybe some heavier thunderstorms. High 74. 64 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy
Time
Jacobson.
now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
We're getting serious now, folks.
Before we get to more reasons to add to the pile, the Prof parenting tip from yesterday bore fruit, as they customarily do. The issue was your son working at a restaurant, your son Peyton, your baby boy.
Baby did that with
baby boy working at a restaurant. He wouldn't tell you where. He didn't want you to come. Now, today, under threat that I would come to his restaurant, you have a date scheduled to go to that restaurant and watch him wash dishes.
Well, you don't mess with Mama if she's an investigative reporter.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I one phone call and I found out where he worked, and now I know when he's working. So I'm donning this Make America Great hat. And I was just going to, table for one, please, and go there on Thursday, because that's when he's going to be working next.
But he knows you're coming.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he doesn't. Now he does.
It's a surprise. But I'm not going to say the name of the place because they don't have the same platform. And I don't,
Well, I don't care about that. I don't care about the name of the place either. But
we did look it up, and it's very crunchy.
You
very
told him I was threatening to come. He didn't want that to happen. So I would think he would now acquiesce, so you don't have to surprise him.
He yelled out a big HELL hockey sticks no when I said, well, if I don't go, Dan Proft's going to go. He's like, oh, no, he's not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have you there, Mom. And I said, well, he and I could go together. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen either.
All right. Well, anyway.
I'm just going to go and check it out.
I think the specter of me and my rowdy friends coming to that hippie joint that he works at has scared him straight, and now Mom is going to be welcomed. So, again, another success story with her Prof parenting tip.
Okay, I like how you spun that. Yes, that sounds great.
All right.
But I'll let you know how the food is. Yeah.
Please do. On to why Dan Proft is single. Because there are people like this, 35-year-olds whose clock is ticking, who are putting bounties out on men.
Okay.
A corporate litigation attorney from L.A. I'm already exhausted.
Dan is rolling his eyes.
I've already lost interest. She put on her TikTok page.
Uh-oh. Dan, do you have a TikTok page?
No. That she'll pay $5,000 to anyone who introduces her to her future husband.
Oh, I could do that.
Yeah. I haven't gone on any dates yet, but people are really motivated to help, said Eve Tilly Colson. She also has a hyphenated name. Do we really have to go any deeper into this story? Because I have others. She's gotten between 20 to 25 digital introductions to potential life partners via these people who are trying to make $5,000, but she hasn't gone on any dates yet. It's been 5 years. I've been single for about 5 years now. I wonder why. Meeting people in person and on the apps, but since COVID, there's been a weird shift in dating culture. Guys don't approach you in person, and most of the men on apps aren't swiping to seriously date. So I feel like paying $5,000 for a husband who's vouched for, meets my needs, and is ready for a real relationship is totally worth it. What do you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Not even so much about her because she is obnoxious, but what she says about dating culture. I'd be interested maybe for some of our, it doesn't have to be younger, but some of our younger listeners about the dating apps, if you're on the dating apps. But I know there are dating apps for old people too.
Yeah, because it's our time.
That's one.
Once you're past 50, you can be on our time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's something for octogenarians too. I don't know what it's called.
Out of time, I think it's called. So speaking of the dating apps, this is interesting. This guy who writes for Outkick.com, he wants the dating apps banned, like put rank order priority above TikTok for banning. He cites how destructive the dating apps are for civil society. He notes a study from Sex's medical journal found people on dating apps experience symptoms of depression and sex addiction hypersexuality. The same study found a high prevalence of major depression, anxiety, and general distress in young people using dating apps. No, we're back to talking about screen time again, but this time for dating. A study done by Match.com found 1 in 6 singles felt addicted to the dating apps, and men are almost twice as likely to feel addicted as compared to women. The apps are causing depression and mental anguish, and people are still addicted to them. It's like a drug that can't be kicked. What do you think? You've got to know some, divorced women who are on the dating apps because they're trying for,
it's horrific.
They're trying to close a sale before their sell-by date hits.
Wow.
Right?
Or use by date. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the most god-awful thing because when we were seeking partnerships, it was at the bars or at church.
The Lincoln Park Trixies
library.
when you were
Jettas,
one of the Lincoln Park Trixies.
Yeah, right. Well, I was a Lakeview Trixie.
Yeah.
I've never lived in Lincoln Park. Don't put that hate on me.
But, Lincoln Park, Lakeview folded in.
Well,
you're at Cafe Barbarita, all decked out.
Well, my one friend, I'm not going to say his name, but he was divorced and he met a girl or a young lady.
On the dating app?
Yes, and she was not anything like her picture. And
okay.
Well,
that's a typical story.
No, but she was obese.
Yeah.
Grotesquely obese in her picture. She did not. She was skinny, looked like a model. So it was a big exaggeration from the truth. And he called her out on it right away. He's like, now why? Why would you do that?
Is your friend named J.B. Pritzker by any chance?
It's not J.B. Pritzker.
I didn't know. I never heard the origin story between J.B. and M.K.
Yeah. No, that's right. I never knew how those two lovebirds met.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lovely story. Have you ever been on a dating app?
No.
Would you ever, No, not ever. It never piqued your interest, or maybe.
Here's the thing about the dating apps. I think
Yeah.
this guy over at Outkick is onto something. Young people, especially young men, are being robbed of development because hiding behind a phone, lobbing Hail Mary attempts is easier and less embarrassing if things go south than having to walk up to a woman in a bar, restaurant, poetry recital, and try to talk her up and then get her number and have her respond when you call or text or whatever. Instead of having to, this is what he writes, instead of having to walk up to a good-looking woman and offer to buy her a drink, young men now have the freedom to sexually proposition complete strangers without any risks. Young men having access to easy sex with the press of a button might sound fun, but these dating apps are doing an incredible amount of damage. It's weakened people, crushed the ability to communicate with the opposite sex, and it's leading to multiple issues. For all these reasons and more, dating apps should be viewed as the enemy and treated as any other enemy, destroyed without mercy. No mercy. Sweep the leg on the dating apps.
Sweep the leg.
What do you think?
312-642-5600.
So what happened with your
Turnkey.pro.
Yeah, what happened to your friend in the dating app?
Oh, he
with
walked
the obese
out.
woman.
He left.
Well, that's not very.
He was that upset.
That's not very friendly.
I don't know. He didn't. He doesn't want to be lied
See,
to.
this is the thing.
He said, Amy, if she lies to me about that, she's a fraud, and I'm not wasting my time. So I left. And I told her she should, live in reality and not fraudulently try and con people.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he tried to fat shame her, and he's like, no.
Wow.
I'm leaving.
I'm starting to understand why your friend is single as well. Yeah. I mean,
Well.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the whole thing is the hiding behind the screens thing that we're talking about here, and the dating apps and the ability to communicate. Now it's different. I don't want to communicate.
Right. You don't like people.
Correct. So I don't really.
Everybody needs to be loved, Dan. I mean,
No.
at some point in time, you're going to have to.
Yeah. I think it's overrated. But I do appreciate the risk. I appreciate what this guy is saying about you got to have the stones to take a risk, to risk being rejected and all those things. Those are good experiences for young men to have. And being able to swipe right or left, or, like having somebody not match you or whatever on a dating app is not like the same experience as going up and saying, "Can I buy you a drink?" and the woman says, "Get away from me, you creep."
Right.
Or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think there's something to that. All right, I have one other issue in terms of why Dan Prof is single.
Jonah Hill?
Yeah, Jonah Hill.
I mean,
Jonah Hill is being raked over the coals because his ex-girlfriend has posted screenshots of their text exchanges where Jonah Hill dumped her, I guess some surfer chick named Sarah Brady. He dumped her because she was not operating within his relationship boundaries. And this is a little.
Well, she had provocative pictures of her in a G-string surfing.
Well,
and
she
said,
surfs. She's like a professional surfer.
Right. Well, that didn't sit well with him, so he,
they
set boundaries.
And they went to counseling too. He's got a psychiatrist. Then they also did like couples counseling. Because, this is Hollywood, so this is all.
Well, they have money to spend. But seriously, I mean, the
crystals
guy.
and
No, listen. Jonah Hill respectfully says what he needs in a relationship, and he gets ridiculed for it.
Well, he deserves some ridicule.
Why?
Just because, this like psychobabble that he's spewing is, well, because he's spewing psychobabble. That's why he deserves ridicule. But he doesn't deserve, like, the idea that the idea that you take text messages, private messages, and then you publish them as sort of like revenge texting with the guy who broke up with you, when he's this messed up Hollywood guy, and he's speaks in psychobabble, but he's like, yeah, I established these boundaries. I don't like these boundaryless relationships you have with other men. I don't like pictures of, your ass on Instagram and so on and so forth. That's what he said. And so
that's his property.
So no, but he's just said, like, this is what I'm comfortable with and not comfortable with. If you disagree, or if you don't want to abide those boundaries, then we're not going to have a relationship, which is fair. He was straightforward about it. He's honest. I don't think it's out of bounds, the things he's saying. It's just preference. But then she turns around and revenge texts by making this all public because he's a public figure. And now you can have a couple of yahoos in Chicago talking about him and his psychobabble, which is what happened, which was just not what has transpired. So, I mean, that,
But note to self, that girl, that surfer girl, I would never, if I was a guy and I saw what she did to him, I would never date her.
I totally agree. This is my point.
I mean, there's some boundaries that have to be kept in a relationship, and she overstepped hers.
And as soon as something like this happens, what happens? Then somebody else comes out of the woodwork to try to draft off this infamy.
Yeah, tell people what happened. This is ridiculous.
Some Nickelodeon star, star, in quotation marks, claims Jonah Hill kissed her at a party without her consent when she was 16 years old. She's now 31.
I mean,
so
they're either going to try and cancel Jonah Hill now.
So
because I'm not jumping on that ship.
15 years ago at some 21 Jump Street party, he allegedly slammed me to the door, shoved his tongue down my throat at this party. I was so appalled I pushed him off me and ran inside. Hill, via his attorneys, of course, says this is a complete fabrication. But this is the point, is like once you say it's acceptable to start roasting, going after Jonah Hill because of whatever side you take in this relationship, then you have the other piranha come to feed, right?
Yeah.
So this is why it also redounds to the reputation of Sarah Brady. I don't care for her either. I'm not a huge Jonah Hill fan, but I don't care for this, right? If revenge porn is illegal, as it is in many states,
revenge texting should be.
Well, I mean, I don't know about illegal. I don't know everything's criminal, but it's just bad form to be sharing private messages for the purposes of public humiliation or what have you. I mean, she did this as a way to say, I'm right, aren't I? Like, this guy's a psycho. I'm right. It's like, well, then why are you complaining about him breaking up with you? You know what I mean?
Who broke up with who, right? Yeah.
She's
not handling the breakup very well.
It was mutual. Yeah.
It's not you, it's me. I need to move on.
It's probably had a bigger payday with Jonah Hill than from her surfing.
I think so.
The dating apps, though, I'm just saying, the dating apps, you may, if you're not, in a situation or inclined, you're of a certain age, you wouldn't do that. But for the kids, you talk about all this other screen time. This is another screen time issue. So let that be a lesson. It's another parenting tip, too, for Peyton and Eli. It's a combo.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having nationwide access with an annual deductible of only $226. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 28-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Some dating app tips if you're going to use them. I was back when I was in the dating scene 10 years ago. You could always tell when the lady was fat when the pictures posted themselves were taken overhead. I learned that very quickly. The other thing too is
it does slimming.
I understand.
It's a slimming effect. You can lose 10 pounds on the angle of the camera.
Well, the other thing too is if and this goes for both sexes. If they don't give you the full body shot, they just give you like the stylized face shot.
Yeah.
Then it probably
is fake news.
There's probably something going on you may want to be apprised of.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's going on over here is some balance of nature. Ooh, I just got done with mine. I crack open my 6 capsules into warm water, and voila, there's 31 different whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. So get the nutrition your body craves and the nutrition your body needs, because you have to admit you're not getting enough fruits and veggies on your own, and that's where balance of nature comes in. People who take it love it. I know who my balance of nature friends are. We always look at each other like, keep it on, keep on, keep it on. People love the increased energy and the ability to keep doing the things that they love even as they age. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago, or simply go online to balanceofnature.com, discount code Chicago.
Attention, your money is now controlled by the U.S. government.
Picture a world where your every purchase is monitored, tracked, and controlled by those in power to suppress the freedoms of those they see fit. Hi, my name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. And right now, I've become very focused on the impending rollout of the central bank digital currency. This is not a work of fiction. It's a terrifying reality looming on the horizon. But there is a bit of good news. I've partnered with Advantage Gold to offer you a solution. They are specialists in converting your traditional assets, like those inside an IRA or 401k, into tangible assets such as physical gold and silver. Don't allow your money to be controlled. Claim your free gold protection kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor.
Call 800-900-8000.
Turbulent times call for clear-headed insight. That's hard to come by these days, especially on TV. That's where we come in. The new Salem News Channel, the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. Home to the people you trust. Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Refreshingly honest, always unfiltered. Streaming free on your TV 24/7. Intelligent analysis for intelligent people. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson has been criticized for making a flawed claim about black infant mortality in her recent Supreme Court affirmative action dissent. The incorrect assertion, a mischaracterization of a study that was itself flawed, first appeared in an amicus brief for the case. But that wasn't the biggest problem with Justice Brown citing the study. It was that she cited any study at all. Studies may be entirely persuasive, or sometimes less so. But whatever facts they marshal, they do it in support of policy arguments, and public policy is never the purview of the judiciary. Deciding what's sound public policy, what the law should be, is up to the legislature. Adjudicating what the law is and what's constitutional, that and that alone, is the job of the judiciary. In the United States, Supreme Court justices don't sit as an unelected superlegislature. Let's hope they remember it.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago, with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Text on the whole Jonah Hill, Sarah Breathing. She's a psychopath who sadly is in law school, and he's an asshat who's been able to make me feel sympathy for him. The number of women who see nothing wrong with that mental case sharing private texts is alarming. Exactly. I just have zero tolerance for nonsense. I think I can, maybe we rename Why Dan Proft is Single to Why I Relish My Misanthropy. It's not quite as catchy.
Okay.
Yeah, think about that.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Dan, have a great few days off. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning with Justin and Quinn and Mike Scott, and John Anthony will be here. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A man charged in a deadly shooting of a 9-year-old boy in Franklin Park. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
As long as it takes. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. President Biden at the NATO summit in Lithuania is telling Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky support from the alliance will be there during the fight against Russia and in the future as Ukraine awaits membership in NATO.
The long-term commitments we're making are backed up by the notion that in the meantime, we're going to provide security to Ukraine for its needs and against any aggression that may occur.
Zelensky's asked for a timeline, but NATO leaders are not letting Ukraine in until the war with Russia is over. FBI Director Christopher Wray is at a hearing of the House Judiciary Committee just getting started on bureau oversight.
Fox News has obtained part of his opening statement. It reads, quote, "The work the men and women of the FBI do to protect the American people goes way beyond the one or two investigations that seem to capture all the headlines. Take violent crime or our work going after the cartels exploiting our southern border or the